All right, so that was fun. That was fun. Yeah, so this is just another like me rambling about Project Epoch. I'm not sure how long I'm going to ramble on, but I can ramble for quite a while. We're going to talk a little bit about um, just the classes that we have. What class may I want to play? Because I'm not really sure yet. And let's just get at it and let's take a look. I know Vols was talking to me about playing the Hunter, and when it comes to playing on when it comes to playing classes anymore, World of Warcraft, let's just a little bit of background on me. I've played WoW for a very, very long time. I played WoW ever since beta. I was a beta tester back in 2004. Before that, I played Lineage 2 for quite a while. Well, not quite a while, I guess for a little while. But I've played WoW so long that I'm kind of tired of doing the same old because I've done it so many times. I've never been much of a raider, so raiding isn't really my thing. I don't really play well with others, to be honest, just to be perfectly upfront. That's why typically what I try to do when I play World of Warcraft is I look for things to do that are challenging and that are fun. And so when I look at Project Evac, what I'm looking at is I'm looking at the world scaling, how they say that the content is going to be more challenging. I'm looking at it from PvP point of view because I love PvP. So absolutely love PvP. I've always loved PvP. I play mostly vanilla WoW, but I've played War Within. I've played pretty much every expansion to some degree. You know, I started my PvP back in the original Burning Crusade when I did a twos team, when I did a Rogue Priest, and we got to around 2000. And I think I got the rival title that very first arena season, and it was just a blast. I loved it. I love PvP. So, but just looking at Project Evoc, there's so much to discuss. To be honest, I was really surprised when I looked at it, and I've played Project Evoc. I played one of the early betas. I don't know if it was beta 2 or beta 3 or one of those betas I was in. And I've been around the project. I've been a member of the Discord for a couple years. Hey, what's up, Zolson? You still have you from a few hours ago. That was some ramblings, wasn't it? How you doing, Zolson? So, but I played. It was like, damn, I thought he was going to do it around 9. Yeah, that was just my lunch break. I did that on like a lunch break where I just felt like, you know what? I've got an hour lunch break. Why not talk about Epoch? But I don't know. I mean, this is just kind of an open forum here, Zolson, where I'm talking about mostly I kind of want to think about what class do I want to play, but there's so much to talk about. Like when you go through Epoch, I mean, if you just go through the menu, and I hate to stream and just read stuff to people because you guys can all go out there and read this stuff. But I do think it is interesting. We did kind of confirm that the way the talent, one of the things that was really, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in Project Epoch. There's a lot more than I even understood, that I knew. And when I watched the video, and let me pull up the Discord, I did this early on the lunch stream. But if you go into the Project Epoch Discord and you go to, I think it's media, and maybe not media, announcements, updates. It's where they post, like, it could be content. It's content, I think. There was actually it's interesting they put it under content if I was, but I guess it was because it wasn't the official people that posted this. But this video right here, this Project Epoch question and answer, founder answers the community's top questions. He was doing a warrior. I think Prod looks good for sure. But it was interesting as this founder, when he was answering some of the questions, it made me realize that they've gone through every zone, Zolson, and they've added content to every zone. They've had thousands of new quests. They've had thousands, or it's in the video. If you look at the trailer, let's see if we can pull up the trailer really quick. And just to get that screenshot of how many new items they've added to the game. What's up, Ripoff? What class am I going to play? I don't know, dude. I'm still not undecided. I mean, I've the class I've played traditionally in the last 2 years that I've had the most fun playing has been the Hunter. The reason I enjoy playing the Hunter is the Hunter's really good. The Hunter's good at PvP, but the Hunter's good at PvE. But the Hunter's like, there's a lot of flexibility with the Hunter. So I really like the Hunter because if I want to do like Beast Mastery, I can. If I want to go burst, if I want to just annoy people, and I want to do like a survival build for like group PvP, I can do a lot of like roots and slowing people down, just being kind of like a nuisance. And they have made some changes to the Hunter, not a lot, but I think one of the things that was interesting with the Hunter, and I don't know if we're going to be able to find this, but it was on a video. Well, there was a video that I found where they covered the Hunter, and we can pull that up. There's another content creator who did some videos, says he's doing some videos on Project Epoch. Because, you know, I'm just going around, I'm trying to find information because not all the information is super easy to find. It's not hard to find, but you got to do a little digging. So if you go if you go Project Epoch, right? Let's go Project Epoch Hunter class, right? And there's this guy, Muzzy TV. Okay, now Muzzy has done. I just found him today. He's kind of broken down some of the classes and the changes, which the videos are pretty good. Like I don't like videos where people just read the content on the website because we can all do that. He doesn't do that. He does a good job of just kind of reading through the content and then kind of digesting it and then presenting it to you. So if you look at the Hunter class, in here he talks about the talents, talks about the. One of the things that's interesting is the Ravager is not a tameable pet in Project Epoch, which is really interesting because if you guys remember, in the Burning Crusade, the most powerful pet for hunters, typically is from a DPS point of view, was the Ravager. Now, Gore, I do believe, is still ability that will be available to pets in Project Epoch, but the Ravager is not tameable, which I thought was interesting. Also, I guess these are rares, so some certain rares are also not tameable. So they've tried to do some stuff to, I guess, to level out hunter pets. They've also modified some of the hunter talents to reduce some of the scaling of the haste on certain pets. It's right here. So Serpent Swiftness has been, and when you see in his videos, he'll do like these little chevrons pointing down. I mean, it's basically a nerf. And you can see here that it increases the range combat attack speed by 4%. This was actually nerfed down to 2%, but this is for like Beast Mastery. So there are certain nerfs that they've done, but they're not, obviously that's not a huge nerf, but so there are some tweaks they've done to try to like kind of balance out certain things. But this was a pretty interesting video. One of the things he talked about here was that I can't remember what that was. I have to go back and probably watch this, and I don't want to make you guys watch this. You guys should go watch this in your own time. Check out Muzzy TV. He's got some pretty good videos. But what I really wanted to look at was this. He actually listed the Beast Mastery boots. And if you got a chance to go into you were sad you didn't see much done on Hunters. Yeah, there's not a ton, but you got to remember, I'm used to playing Vanilla WoW, so playing Epoch's going to be a lot different than even Vanilla, just simply because we're using the Burning Crusade. You know, we're using the Burning Crusade talent tree, so it's going to be quite a bit different than Vanilla for me. And since most of the stuff I've played in the past 3 years has been mostly Vanilla WoW and very, very little TBC and not that much Wrath either. So to me, it'll be pretty different. You know, for someone who plays a lot of TBC or a lot of Wrath Lich King, maybe to them it wouldn't be quite as different. But there are some changes in there, and there are some changes overall that affect all classes. But anyways, if you did get a chance to play in the stress test, you were able to go to Stormwind and go to the PvP area. You could talk to some of the PvP vendors and see some of the PvP gear that's available. But one of the interesting things I want to talk about was this specific, the Beastmaster boots. You can see here that the 4-set bonus reduces the cooldown of your traps by 4 seconds. That's actually really good for survival hunters, because if you're going into survival, you're going to get the talent point that reduces your traps by 6 seconds. And traps in TBC for hunters, keep in mind, are 30-second cooldown, whereas in vanilla, the trap cooldown, if I remember correctly, was like 15 seconds. So, I mean, traps came up. By the time your trap was gone and used, it was almost up again so you could retrap, whereas that's not the case in TBC. But with this 4-set bonus plus the talent points, you're going to reduce that 30 seconds down to 20, and that's actually really huge. So that is pretty interesting. And of course, you guys know I like to run survival with like kind of a melee hybrid build, which isn't really good for PvP, but it's something that I try to make work a little bit for PvP, just for fun. So I thought that was interesting. There's also some other gear. There's about 3 different sets of gear that I think you can get in the first kind of release of the game. A couple of them are from PvP, I think, and I think one of them might be from like PvE. But there's different set bonuses for all of them, and you can mix and match and stuff. So I think there's going to be a lot of things that we can do to kind of customize. And I think that's going to be the most for me, because what I like to do. Hey, what's up, Eric? Where may play them so much, you might want to try something more new. Going to go Feral. They did make some changes to Feral. Did you notice? Yeah, they made some changes to Feral. I just kind of glanced upon it. It might have even been Muzzy's video here, where I believe it was some bleeds, maybe? There were some changes. Check out Muzzy's video, though. Where is it? Yeah, I only got a chance to watch a few seconds of it. Right, Tiger's Fury, see how it's updated. But I mean, you can learn. Yeah, it was the buff. Yeah, right here, Eric. So you're already well aware of it. And I talked about it earlier. Is anybody, if you want to go to Project Epoch and you're trying to figure out what class to play, you're going to go to the classes and you want to look at your class and then you want to look at your spell book. And you basically go through each of your spell books because they're going to have the spells that are updated marked here as updated with the purple text. So go through, read these spells. If you don't remember what they were in TBC, just pull up the skills, right? Go here, open up another tab in your browser. Go to WoW TBC Hunter skills, right? For example, if you're looking at Hunter and then just compare. Now, Hunter, it's going to sort by default by the highest, by top level rank down. So, for example, kill command here, give the command to kill. It's creates additional 127 damage. So we go here, we look at kill command, and it says 108 damage. So you can see the difference: 108 damage versus 127, and then also 50 mana, cooldown 5. I don't know if that stuff's been changed, but again. Go here, take a look. It's a 5-second cooldown, 75 mana. It is only 50 mana, and it's 5 seconds. So it costs less mana, but it does a little bit less damage. So definitely, if you're trying to figure out what class to play, look through all the spell books, see what's been modified, compare it. Maybe if you want to compare it to TBC, you don't have to. If you haven't played a lot of TBC, it may not make any difference to you, to be honest. But yeah, I think as a warrior main, and I've played warrior quite a bit in vanilla, but never past vanilla too much, outside of outside of playing it in the War Within, where I did a protection warrior and just beat the shit out of everybody in PvP just to piss them off. But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. This stream here, it's just like I said, the stream title says it all, what class to play, but really it's just me rambling. I'm just going to ramble on here and talk about different stuff, answer questions that anybody has. I don't know everything about Project Epoch. I have been around Project Epoch for a couple years, 2 or 3 years, but I haven't paid attention to like the developers' blogs or anything like that lately. So a lot of the stuff to me is still fairly new. What's up, Vols? How's it going, man? Yo, yo, yo. But what class to play? It's such a great question. So let's go here. Yeah, let's go project. Let's go classes. So typically me, you guys know, if you go to my YouTube channel, I play a lot of Paladin, I play a lot of Hunter, I play a lot of melee Hunter, but in ways that people don't ever really play melee Hunter. I play a lot of Protection Paladin. I play Warrior quite a bit. I like Warrior. I also have been known to play Priest and Rogues. That's about it. I don't really play Warlocks that much. I don't play a lot of Casters that much. I don't play Warlocks. Outside of Shadowlands, where I think it was Shadowlands where I did. Yeah, the first phase of Shadowlands where I did Destruction Warlock, which I thought was just freaking phenomenal, by the way. It was fantastic. Yeah, it's the 26th. The release date is the 26th. I could do more than 2 characters. There's also, come on, Zalson, I know you. That'll never fly. Now, my wife says I have to do something on the 26th, so I might not be there on launch right away. I mean, I'll be playing that day. I just may not be playing right when it's launched. So I actually wanted to look at the time. So if we go to announcements here, it is the 26th, and it's 12 p.m. So I'm assuming that's my time. So I'm kind of screwed because my wife wants to. I'm going to talk to my wife about this, but I don't think there's any way of getting out of it. We just moved into the new house. You guys know that I just bought a house, and I still have my apartment up until December. So I'm living in a house right now that I bought, but I still have my apartment that I was living in up until December. And my wife wants to go back over to the apartment on Saturday, the 26th, to grab some stuff that we left there. So what I'm going to try to do is talk to her and tell her that it's really important that I catch this event when it starts, and then see if I can get her to go early in the morning, like head over there at like 6 a.m. or something. And maybe if I can get her to do that, then I won't miss but maybe 2 or 3 hours or something, because most likely if we're all the way over in Clearwater, she might want to swing up and stop by her parents. I don't know. We'll see. I'll try to swing something, but it's just bad timing that she wanted to go up there. But I know. It just works out that way, because this Saturday we can't do it, right? Because this Saturday, the 19th, we have some furniture being delivered, because like I said, new house, brought some brand new furniture, bought a new couch, bought a new TV stand, bought a new dining room table. I got all kinds of brand new furniture being delivered, and some of that's being delivered this Saturday. So you think, yeah, it might be. Hopefully, Eric. I mean, I hate to say hopefully, but I just don't. I'm not a speed lover. Anybody who comes to speed leveler, anybody who comes to my YouTube channel knows that I don't play for speed. I don't play for for dick. I'm not doing like, I'm not like I'm not playing for bragging rights. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know. Oh my God, you can't imagine how much money I spent on the furnitures, Austin. I'm not. I don't have any. I'm not going to be wagging my EP around, bragging about what I'm doing. I'm playing to explore the changes and to try to come up with builds that are going to be fun. And also, what I'm really most interested in, one of the things I'm most interested in, is a lot of the new gear that's going to come out. Right? We played a damn right, Boss. I mean, come on, hardcore fishing. How many times have you seen me stream hardcore WoW and you see me just fishing for like 2 hours? Not that we want to do it, man, but we do it. Remember when I was leveling that gray gear only warrior and I was like, oh shit. Couldn't even fish though on the gray gear only warrior. Yeah, exactly. I like to explore, and I like to theory craft, but theory craft in a way that's probably not what most people would do. I try to figure out builds that most people would say are shitty builds, and then I try to figure out how to make them work. So, oh yeah, and Brian, you're 100% correct, and I mentioned that earlier today. I think PvP on this server is going to be insane, and when you look at the gear that you can get from PvP, and it's all from like early stuff, like Warsun Gulch, right? Since like Warsun Gulch is probably going to be the first battleground that's going to be available for like low level characters. Let's say like level 20 to like 35 or even 20 to 45. If you look at the brackets, they're there. And where is it? I don't know if it was this place where I saw the brackets here. So if you look at the brackets, there's level 15 armor, there's 25, 35, and 45, kind of reminiscent of some of the other versions of World of Warcraft like TBC, where you would try to go out and get that, or even vanilla WoW to a certain degree, right? But yeah, everybody's going to be doing Warsun Gulch. It's going to be insane, and I think if you're looking at what class to play, and if you are going to participate in PvP, you really need to focus on what's a class that you can play in PvP that's going to work for you. Don't pick something that you're like, well, I always like Eric said, I always play Warrior, but I don't want to play Warrior. Well, you don't rope yourself, Eric, into a situation where you play something else just because you're tired of always playing Warrior, like you're playing the Druid, although the Druid's going to be great in Warsun Gulch, as you know. So, I mean, you should be good with Druid. But don't rope yourself into playing some character just because you want to try something different, but then realize that you're not that good in PvP with that character, and you really don't like doing PvP with that character. So, and that's going to be a big deciding factor for me, is what can I play in Warsun Gulch that I'm going to be fun at? And really, Hunter. Hunter is great in Warsun Gulch. And I love Hunter. I've always loved Hunter. I mean, the other classes that I would consider would be Priest, which would be great for healing, because I'm a fantastic healer. So healing would be fun. But also, the other one would be Protection Paladin. But Protection Paladin, not great. Not a bad flag carrier. Not a bad support class. Even as a protection, like support for the Druid, because you can do Hand of Freedom, you can do Hand of Freedom, Hand of Protection. You got a lot of support abilities. You can kind of off heal. You can use Hammer of Justice or whatever to stun people that are chasing the flag carrier. I wouldn't really recommend being a flag carrier as a paladin, just because you don't have enough movement abilities. You're going to be better off just kind of assisting, most likely the Druid. Yeah, they are going to get, I believe it's a 5% XP boost. I didn't know they were just giving a golden rep boost, but that's cool. Yeah. Oh, for sure. The gold's going to certainly help. You can play at your own pace. Yeah, I think the cool thing is if you guys ever played Turtle WoW, I think the one nice thing about the server is you're not really worried about the server going anywhere, really. And I don't think we're really worried about this. It's not like they're going to roll out an expansion in 6 months or something. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the server is going to be as is probably for quite a while before there's any kind of a major update. And if you watch the kind of questions, the question interview with the founder that they put out, the video they put out a few days ago, I don't know that much about Shamans. Shamans is like Shaman is like my least played class out of all the classes. I'm pretty much a diehard Alliance player. I love Shamans though. Don't get me wrong. I have played Shaman quite a bit in the last year. Only up to like level 20, 30, but I do love Shamans. But I am like not the person to evaluate a Shaman build. I don't think so. Hey, Ripoff, I don't believe they have in that video. I think if you really want to you can get some pretty good information if you go and watch this video here, this one right here, which is the Project Epoch founders. Actually, if you want, I'll really quick show you. And I did this in my lunch stream too, but we won't listen to it because I don't want to make you guys listen to it. But if you look, you can see it's broken down into segments here in the in the span. What is this called? The scrub. Let's call it the scrub bar. So right here you got the intro. Then they talk about Blizzard heat. Are you getting heat from Blizzard to shut down the server? It's going to be slotted in between MC and BWO. That's cool. Just the MC will be after 5 weeks. And then, but if you go through here, they do talk about like kind of some stuff about stuff down the road. But there is this video here did have some pretty good information. Like long-term raid philosophy. I don't remember what he said here, but I definitely would recommend watching this video. One of the things that was interesting is they did talk about boosting. They talked about GDKP, which GDKP is banned, which I'm a huge fan of. I'm not a fan of boosting in any way, shape, or form. One thing I hate about Classic WoW is you go in there and everybody's just like running into stockades, getting boosted. They're not even playing the game. I'll be Alliance for sure. I've always played Alliance in vanilla. I'm a big fan of Night Elves. I love the way they move. I love the way the armor looks on them. I like Shadow Meld. I like the lore around Night Elves. I like humans too. I usually play humans or Night Elves. On the Horde, the reason I never played Horde much in vanilla is I just didn't really like the character models that much. I do like undead. I think the undead look really cool, and I love the undead starting area. I also like Mulgore. Mulgore's a really cool starting area, but I never really cared for the Tauren model because it's just so big and it didn't really look that good. So the only really Horde races I liked in vanilla, as far as like aesthetically, was orcs and undead. Didn't really care for trolls because I just absolutely hate the Yaman, the whole like Jamaican accent, which whoever came with that idea needs to be shot. It's just stupid. But yeah, so I usually play Night Elves and humans, and mostly. But yeah, I'll probably be rolling a hunter, and I typically in the last few years, like I said, I've played WoW since beta in 2004 on Doomhammer, and I've done just about everything. I'm not a big raider, but I mean I've played about every spec on the Alliance side. I've played mages, I've played warriors and priests and paladins, and so I don't really like to do the cookie cutter builds anymore because I find it really boring. So you'll never see me play like a marksman hunter. Like the only time I would ever play marksman is if someone just forced me to do it for a raid, and only if I was doing that raid to get a specific piece of gear. You know what I mean? Yeah, you still don't know what race, so you are. Yeah, Vols is definitely going to be going hunter. So when I play a hunter, it's probably going to be survival. It's going to be some sort of survival build that revolves around either trapping and being just an absolute nuisance, and kiting, or most likely that's what it'll be. I'll probably build some sort of a survival hunter that's going to be based around control. Lots of trapping, lots of rooting. Probably getting the crab or something that's got the pin ability to pin people down if they get too close to me. Of course, we're going to have deterrence. Whether or not I get what's the other ability? What's it called? Shit, I gotta look at the talent calculator. I'm not really a huge. Let's see, where's the talent calculator? If you look at the hunter, for example, I don't always go with counterattack. They did change disengage. One thing that was cool with disengage is we do have the jump back. That's actually really good, but it says there are some changes versus like previous versions, but it really didn't look that different. So let's go back and look at. Let's go here. Where's disengage? I think disengage is probably what is it? I don't know where it's going to be. One thing that was weird is like you couldn't like when you see this, you can't find traps anywhere. So these are like you don't see like frost trap in any of these books, which I thought was like really interesting. So this just shows you like abilities that are related. Well, no, you do. There it is. Okay, I'm sorry. I wasn't seeing the trap earlier today. I don't know. I must be losing my mind. So where is disengage? Okay, so disengage is updated. So it says, while in combat, attempt to disengage from the target, reducing threat and leaping backwards. I think the difference, if I remember correctly, was that the range, like the person, you have to be in sight of the person you're disengaging from, which I believe that in like the Burning Crusade, it was a little bit different. See here, it just said attempts to disengage from the target, reducing threat. But this one doesn't have the jump back. I think what was that, Wrath of the Lich King? So it's fantastic. This is a huge benefit for hunters, right? Disengage, where was it all the way to Kata? Oh my God, so disengage where you can jump backwards is super huge. So the reason it's so big is because if you're jumping from like a slope, like if you're going up a hill and you're disengaging back down towards the hill, you're going to go further. If you've got like levitate cast on you and you disengage, you're going to go further. If you were like in a top, like if there's a multi-level area and you're in a PvP area and you're trying to get away, You know, if you're like on a bridge or something, or you know what I mean. If you're there's going to be so many different uses for disengage to move you, and there's also places where you can get really tricky with it. You might disengage from one pillar to another, where it's going to be very difficult. You know, the parachute engineering parachute is going to be great. You've got slow fall from the mage, but there's a lot of different uses to disengage. If you've got maybe you've got rocket boots and you hit your boots and disengage. I don't know if you're like running one direction really quick and you spin your camera, you know, 180 degrees and disengage. I don't even know what that's going to do. I've never tried it. So, but having disengage actually throw us back is absolutely, I think, a massive deal for hunters, in my opinion, because it's really useful. Yeah, it's really useful, and it fools people too. Some people don't always expect you to do it, especially in vanilla, right? In Cataclysm, or not Cataclysm, but vanilla and the Burning Crusade. You know, you couldn't do it, so it's going to be a little bit weird. I don't know what I haven't really looked at the updated misdirection. Threat caused by your next 3 attacks is redirection to the target. Oh, that's fine. Effects last 30. It's probably something to do with maybe mana, and I don't know. Place a bonus trap that release several snakes. The snakes will die after 0 seconds. Trap exists for 60 seconds. Doesn't say like damage or anything. What does this look like in TBC? Do we have it in TBC? I don't even. Do we have the snake trap in TBC? It kind of feels like we didn't. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Interesting. And I don't remember. I've played too much vanilla over the past like 3 years, probably. But yeah, I think disengage is fantastic. I think. So yeah, for me, like if we look at like a talent build, typically when I do my marks, when I do like a survival like hybrid DPS build, I'll show the build that works the most in vanilla for a melee hunter is actually maybe not so surprising. It's actually a BM build. But of course, it's different because obviously the talent trees are different. But the focus of your survival hunter, if you're doing like melee, mostly melee focus, and like when I do melee hunter in vanilla, my damage comes out to be, and I allow my hunter to use Serpent Sting. So that's like the only non-melee ability I use is Serpent Sting. Just because Serpent Sting gives me Serpent Sting is like a dot. It's like Poison Dart and Battle for Azeroth, right? It's, you know, because it really doesn't do any physical damage. When you shoot Serpent Sting, it does no physical damage. It just hits somebody, and then after a few seconds, the first tick of damage is poison damage. It's a poison, right? It's almost like doing a Warlock, you know, dot. It's basically a dot. It does poison damage. So I don't really consider Serpent Sting really it is a ranged ability, but when I do like my melee hunter, I allow the hunter to use it because it gives you so much flexibility. It gives you the ability to pull mobs. It gives you the ability to get damage out on multiple targets very quickly. It's just really useful. So when I do like melee hunter, that's the one ranged ability I let myself use. Other than that, I don't use anything. I don't use arcane shot. I don't use anything else concussive. I don't use anything. And so my damage usually comes in around 70% melee damage, about 20% to 25% trap damage, which is usually fire damage mostly. And then you'll end up getting about about 60% melee, 65% melee, then like maybe 20 to 25% trap, and then you'll end up getting maybe 10, 15% Serpent Sting damage, depending on how many targets you're hitting it with it. But the melee hunter build really revolves a lot around also your pet doing damage, so you actually will get Bestial Wrath. So it's going to be interesting to see how can we apply kind of a melee style hybrid. The only reason I call it hybrid is because I did give the character the Serpent Sting, and it wasn't completely true melee. Although I have leveled hunters as pure melee without ever even equipping a ranged weapon in hardcore before, which is a lot of fun, actually. So it'll be interesting because the talents are a little bit different. You know, we've got Savage Strikes at the top level. We have Hawkeye. This is really good. So when people talk about PvP and I think even in Epoch in Project Epoch, I think most people are going to be thinking Beastmastery or Marksman. I don't think most people are going to really be thinking survival. You know what I mean? I don't think too many, but having Hawkeye in survival is really big because if you're going into survival and you want to be kind of what I like to call a harasser, is you're going to grab Hawkeye because you're going to be going for damage here. You don't have to do deflection, but I personally like deflection, and then you're going to go entrapment here, and of course deterrence. This. You don't really need counterattack, to be honest. You could get it, but it's not necessary. It's useful, but it's not necessary. The problem with counterattack is that most people you're fighting are going to be, like most people you would use it on are going to be melee. So if a warrior charges you and you try to counterattack him, yeah, that's great. You slowed him down. Most likely he's already hit you with like a hamstring or something, like a slowing ability. So by the time it still takes you quite a while to get out of range of his melee attacks. So it's like, oh yeah, you kind of immobilized him, but he's still going to hit you a few more times before you can get out of his range. And the same thing is going to happen with the rogue, because rogue's going to hit you with crippling poison. So counterattack is it can be really annoying, to be honest. But I don't know if it can switch targets though. If you could switch targets with it, that would be useful. Like say maybe there's a flag runner, someone attacks you, the flag runner on the other enemy flag runner is close by. You dodge or something, you proc counterattack, and you counterattack, you apply it to maybe the flag runner. I don't know if that's possible. I have to test that out, but I don't know. I mean, the leveling should be. It's supposed to be pretty much vanilla. The thing you have to think about is that if you go to the website and look at features and look at the world and what is it? System mat. Look at the difficulty here. I think is interesting. It says here that Azrael has been reborn as a world of true danger. On Project Epoch, creatures hit harder, survive longer, unleash empowered abilities, pushing players to rise to the challenge. Whether you're braving the open world facing down elite threats or diving in dungeons, every encounter now demands skill, strategy, sharp teamwork. So this is good. I mean, this is something I've begged for. I beg for this in every MMO I've ever played. In my opinion, all MMOs are way too easy. Like, I always want way more difficult content. I want stuff that's incredibly difficult. The reason I want incredibly difficult content is it makes it more fun for me to figure out how to top it, but it also makes people be nicer to each other, because most people are going to be like, well, I need help. And if you need help, you're not going to be a dick. You're not going to be a dick to other players in the game if you need their help to get anywhere, right? Like, if you can't level to 10, like if you try to solo to level 10 and somebody groups with one other person and they get to level 10 like 3 times faster than you, do you think you're going to, I mean, you can still do it, but you may be more encouraged to want to get in a guild or to want to maybe get some friends and kind of work together. And I think that's always a good thing. So it's really hard to know, because I have not done any of the really like content where I could see the difficulty on Project Epoch. So this is going to be really interesting to see, like, as far as leveling, like how much harder do they hit? You know, how much damage are they? How much health do they have? Is it going to take me like, you know, am I going to be killing mobs in 15 seconds? Am I going to be killing, you know, enemies in 30 seconds based on, you know, my levels? My level is the same as their level. How long does it take me? I always call it time to kill, TTK, right? What's the TTK on me killing a mob that's like level 10 when I'm level 10? Is it going to be 15 seconds? You know, is it going to be longer than that? If it's longer than that, like let's say it's 30 seconds, that's a long time to kill one mob. So yeah, there is, yeah, and I wanted to watch that trailer really quick, because what I wanted to do is I wanted to pull up that screen. I wanted to pull up that screen where they said all the number of new quests and stuff, because I don't remember how many it was. So let's go to announcements. Where was it? Was it under content? Where was the trailer? Trailer. Content, no. Dates, media. Actually, it's on the website. I don't know why I'm looking here. It's actually on the website. Trailers. Is it? Hunter, bosses. Yeah, this is what I was looking for. So I think one of it's tough but good, especially dungeons. You can't just pull half the thing. Yeah, and I hope it's even harder than that, Jin. I hope that they really push it more. I would actually encourage them to make it even more difficult. I'm a big fan of hard content, like really hard content. Not like Souls content, because I think that's kind of stupid, because people just find cheesy ways to defeat stuff or repetitive. But just stuff that requires you maybe to work together, or just basically level up a little bit and get maybe some better gear and just tough it out. You know, war, you know, conquest by attrition. You know, people complained about Glittermark being tough when they were trying to do it in 30 greens. Yeah, and those are the people that ruin MMOs. Like when Terra first came out, right? I played in closed beta test 1, 2, and 3 of Terra. And then when Terra came out, like the launch of Terra came out, Terra was like one of the greatest MMOs I ever played. The combat was fantastic. Content was actually challenging. The first couple dungeons you did were actually challenging. People were dying. It was great. It's like, this is fucking great. And then guess what happened? People started crying. People started complaining. They were dying too often. The BAMs were too difficult. The bosses and dungeons were too difficult. And they nerfed the content within the first 3 months. They already started nerfing the content. In 6 months, it was like nerfed like 2 or 3 times to the point where things that were like challenging or moderately challenging became stupid easy, ruining the game, in my opinion, within the first 6 months. So the people that cry about stuff being too easy are the people, in my opinion, that ruin MMOs. Yeah, you took four attempts isn't that many. That's the thing. I remember when we did Magtheridon in TBC, right? I think it took us like 20 attempts with a bunch of like disorganized fools. Like 20 or 30 attempts to even like do it. And that was after we kind of even knew what we were supposed to do. And still, it was like, so 4 attempts that's nothing, right? Especially when you got to consider that people have played MMOs for a long time. People have played WoW for a long time. So people understand mechanics. So if you can make people who really understand the game and mechanics, and it takes them 4 attempts, that's great. That's great. I mean, I would like to see them make it more difficult, but I'd be very happy just to see that. I would be very happy just to see that. And I talk about this all the time when it comes to gaming, any game, right? Like if you're going through the bar exam and you want to go take the bar exam because you want to be a lawyer or something, right? It's like when you pass the bar exam, it's really rewarding, right? It's really exciting. It's great. You go out and you get drunk and you celebrate. Why is that? Because it's not fucking easy. It's fucking hard to pass the bar exam. If it was fucking easy, people wouldn't make that big a deal about it. It's the same thing with playing a video game. If it's like super easy, the thrill of defeating something, if it's super easy, there's no thrill, right? The harder the challenge, the greater the sense of reward once the challenge is overcome. It's just that simple. And I don't understand, I'll never understand why MMO makers don't get that concept. If you make it too easy, it's not fun. Done. It's not fun. Just that simple. And that's why I think a lot of MMOs fail. It's because when they first come out, they're not hard, but people don't know them because they've never played that MMO. So they don't understand the gearing. They don't understand the mechanics. They don't understand a lot of things about how the game works. But once they understand how the game works, then everything becomes so easy because the encounters are really not difficult. It's just that you didn't understand maybe what spells were the best spells, or maybe what the boss did. Once you understand what his skills are and kind of where the damage is coming from, it just immediately makes everything super easy. So, but what I wanted to talk about, one of the things I think that's really the most exciting thing, in my opinion, probably one of the most exciting things about Project Epoch is what we're looking at on my screen right now, is the fact that there are 2,200 plus new pieces of equipment. And why that's so exciting is that we don't know what those pieces of equipment are. There's no database out there right now where you can go and say, well, here's all the 2,200 pieces, and just start looking through them and say, well, here's the best in-slot items, right? You can't do that, right? At least I don't know of a way that you can do that. And I've been told that that's not really possible yet. So, and there's all these new creatures, and there's all these new quests, right? And all this stuff hasn't been found. So when you're playing an Epoch, you can sit here and think that, well, maybe the hunter hasn't changed that much, so maybe it's not going to be that good. But think about certain classes, how certain classes benefit from certain things. If you think about a protection paladin, like in vanilla protection paladin wasn't that great just because they really were missing out on what they really needed to be super strong, which was mana regen and spell power. Like you give a protection paladin infinite mana pool, and you give them a very, very high batch, very, very high spell power stat, ranking, spell power, level of spell power, whatever. They're going to be almost unstoppable, right? Like if they could just sit here and cast Consecrate and heal and without worrying about their mana, they're going to do a shit ton of damage, and especially if their spell power is really, really high. So a lot of it comes down to if you can find certain things that synergize well together. Like that's kind of what I was talking about with the survival hunter. Like I like to play survival where I play it two different ways. One way I play it is I let my pet do a lot of damage. So I go BM, but then I go far enough into survival that I get improved traps so that my traps do a lot more damage. I get bestial strikes, where the hell it's called. Where's my talent calculator? I get savage strikes, right? We get savage strikes, right? So it's going to give us 20% chance to crit with our with Mongoose Bite, with Raptor Strike and Mongoose Bite, and then we also get improved traps, which is going to increase the damage, right? Clever traps, which increases the damage by 30%. So That's quite a bit. Like, and if you guys watch me do any kind of like grand marshal rep farming in AV in vanilla WoW, like a couple weeks back, or maybe couple months back, I was going up against like super like well geared warriors in vanilla WoW with a survival hunter, and if I could get off my trap, my immolation trap on them, and if I had deterrence up, I could pretty much win almost against most warriors. I'd win the encounter 1-on-1. But it all revolved around, getting the trap off, right, to do damage, and then just using counterattack and just having a high degree of parry and high degree of dodge with improved aspect of the monkey, and with having deflection, and then letting my pet do a lot of the work, right? Like my pet's gonna do a lot of the work, so the damage is about 50-50. And that was in vanilla, right? If you talk about this talent tree here, you have better tools here to deal with certain classes as a survival hunter. And I think the disengage is a big one, especially based on a lot of that's going to be terrain based. But if we think about the traps too, and we talk about like that, some of the traps, some of that like gear set bonuses I was talking about, where the one set bonuses reduces traps by 4 seconds. We can possibly get our traps down to 20 seconds because we're going to be getting this one? We're going to be getting resourcefulness, which is going to reduce our traps cooldown by 6 seconds. Our traps are 30, so that knocks it down to 24. If we get the 4 set bonus on the one piece of gear, that shaves off another 4 seconds, then we're going to get our traps down to 20 seconds. That's only 5 seconds longer than vanilla, and in vanilla, traps come up very, very often. Plus, I'm going to guess that we'll be able to apply our traps in combat, I would imagine. I have way too many windows open. Let's just close these, because it's just getting too confusing. All right. I don't know if it's going to say here. Hand traps. I'm assuming we'll be able to apply traps in combat, but I don't know. Maybe that's going to be we'll have to look at the Hunter Discord, the Hunter channel, and ask that. I'm sure we'll probably be able to apply traps while we're in combat. So with a 20-second cooldown on traps, so we can drop those while we're in combat. That's going to make survival hunters quite strong. And also with disengage, again, you're going to have a high degree of crit. You can also, because I think it should be. And plus, if you think about the fact that you have the talent trees you have the Wrath of the Lich King pet talent trees, so you're going to be able to get your critical strikes cause your pet. There's one talent you can use where your critical strikes cause your pet to gain 50 focus. And there's one thing in a video I watched today that was an interesting thought, where the guy said, well, you might want to go with the Wind Serpent. I wouldn't personally do that unless he really does a lot of damage. But if you went with the Wind Serpent, and you went with a talent in the pet talent tree that when you get critical strikes, that your Wind Serpent, your pet, is going to gain like 50 focus. Well, the Lightning Strike from the Wind Serpent takes 50 focus. So you just want to make sure that you definitely want to keybind this. Like every time you're playing a hunter, keybind all of your pet's abilities. So you're not going to use Growl, obviously, in PvP, so you're going to turn Growl off. You want to have a keybind that turns Growl on, turns Growl off. You may want to have a keybind, like, for example, if you've got a pet that has Lightning Breath, and maybe he's also got Claw or Bite or something, you may want to turn Claw and Bite off if you know that your crits are going to proc 50 focus, because you want all your focus going into his Lightning Breath. So always, when you're playing a hunter, make sure you have all your abilities on your pet keybound. Always. You can't, bringing your pet back, sending your pet out, turning certain skills on and off. That you're going to want all that stuff. Yeah, so that'll be interesting. So I think, so most likely, this stream was really just me talking about, like, what class do I want to play? And really, I mean, Hunter is the one I'm leaning towards. I'm just not a caster. Like, I've played casters in Cataclysm and like Battle for Azeroth, Shadowlands, but Mist of Pandaria, I played Shadow Priest quite a bit. But I've kind of gone away from casters and more towards melee in the past, 4 years. The reason I like hunters is you have a little bit more variety with traps and with your pet. Like, warriors are really fun, but I find warriors can get a little bit boring. Especially in, I really liked Warriors of Vanilla because I liked stance dancing. I thought stance dancing was really cool. I liked weapon swapping. swapping into a sword and shield, going into defensive stance, swapping back into dual wield, and I really like stance dancing, and I think that was what made Warrior for me really fun. I don't know if that's really a thing anymore in this client. I don't even know. I don't even know in TBC. I think you still do have the stances in TBC. I don't think it's still maybe Wrath or even Kata where that starts to change. So, but anyways, other classes. The only class I would probably consider playing would be Paladin, Priest, Warrior, Hunter. Only classes I'm really thinking about playing. I love rogues. The problem with rogues is that because rogues are a stealth class, you end up out of the action a lot, per se. Like you're in stealth, kind of waiting for your right moments. And in certain situations, you will be in a lot of PvP action, but there's a lot of times where you're just kind of in stealth, not doing anything. And so I get a little bit bored on rogues. The cool thing about warriors is it's not like that in a warrior. In a warrior, especially if you got a pocket healer, you're just going to charge in and start wrecking people. So that's a very exciting class to play because you're kind of in the thick of things. And that's kind of the game style, the play style that I've liked lately. And that's why I like Hunter, because you can kind of always be involved. Like if you're either in there beating on people, beating people in the head with, with Raptor Strike, or maybe you're like kiting them with a slow trap and letting your pet kind of do some work. There's you have a lot of variety, which is cool. So, but I haven't really deep dived into. Yeah, that's the thing is the racial seal varies. So like if you do a paladin, let's say you're like a human paladin, and then you go and learn the racial quest at 60 for dwarves, then you can swap and get the dwarf seal. And I don't know, I don't know if I could find that. Like if we go paladin, I don't know if I was able to find where are all the seals, right? So if you let's look at retribution. So there's seal of dedication. Oh, but this is okay. All right, if you guys, Jin Techie, if you've never been to my YouTube channel, go to my YouTube channel and search for Protection Paladin. This is really fun. Go to my YouTube channel and just search for Protection Paladin, right? Yeah, you know what I'm gonna say, right? You're just gonna scroll for like a long time because I've done hundreds, probably thousands of videos on Protection Paladin. So I was super excited when I saw the seal of, I believe it's called dedication, right? Because this one is amazing, right? It causes your attacks to deal 50% weapon damage, solely damage to an additional target. So think about that, right? Think about that, man. Think about like you could have like you've got your holy shield, you've got your seal of dedication, you've got your blessing of oh God, my brain's not working right now. You've got your blessing of sanctuary, right? You've got your holy shield. You've got retribution aura. If you've got like a shield spike or something and you go with redoubt, you're doing damage with your shield. If you're throwing up like, if you can get some sort of like, crystal shards or whatever from like Ungoro Crater, those probably aren't any good. But if you can get something similar to that, I'm sure there's going to be quite a few trinkets. There's the shield and TBC content, the Sporegar shield. It does damage, although again, I don't know what's out there, but I'm pretty sure, right? I am pretty sure that. Did I close the video? I did, didn't I? That's okay. I want to go back to that video. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some gear out there. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some gear out there that's going to allow you to really kind of, oh God, I'm sorry guys, my brain's not working right now. Is really going to kind of like emphasize like your AoE potential. And when I play Protection Paladin, I don't think of Protection Paladin as like a prop paladin. I think of them as like their damage as being like a reflect or like Epoch. What's up, Nemesis? But it's really like deflection, or it's really like reflective. It's like a reflect damage. Like when you're doing Protection Paladin, you're doing it really well. A lot of the damage you're doing is reflect damage. Like, or people like are hitting you and they're taking damage. They're hitting you and your shield spike's doing damage to you, or their blessing of sanctuary is doing damage to them, or their consecration that they're standing in is doing damage to them. Now you've got an entirely new seal that when you hit one of these guys, it's going to do damage to them and then that guy next to him. So it's interesting. And then we talked about there's going to be so much new gear, right, that's available. So There's that. This is that PvP stuff. Let's duplicate this. Let's go to trailers, go back to the launch trailer. And let's get back to our, like I said, you can't tell me there isn't going to be like some gear that's going to be a little bit more specific for paladins. Now, they did talk about protection paladins not really being good for PvP, which that to me, that's always just like a gauntlet that someone threw down in front of me, right? So if we go to my Discord server, there was some stuff I found. Let's see. Go Epoch. Where is it? Is it me? Oh, Paladin. There was this Epoch Paladin FAQ that someone put together. And there was one section here like PvP prot only if you're a flag carrier in AV, otherwise no. So I love it when you see something like that because it makes me want to PvP as a protection paladin. So will a protection paladin be able to PvP in Project Epoch? Probably not very well, but the thing that will make the protection paladin moderately viable is if you can get them in a situation where they can do quite a bit of AoE damage, and they can help their team. Like you can help your team with your blessings, you can help your team with hand of freedom, hand of protection, stuff like that. I mean, you may be able to spec into some repentance, so you can get off some different types of CC. You've got your Avenger Shield. Seal Dedication is going to do that AoE damage. So they're changing some of the abilities like Crusader Strike to actually do holy damage now instead of just physical damage. So the scaling with spell power is going to be better. So yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. At the very least, it makes me want to play a protection paladin because I want to see is there gear that we don't know about that's going to give me a ton of like maybe increased holy damage, or maybe a shield that when people hit me, it does damage to everybody near me, or maybe a sword that when I hit people, or maybe some sort of special buff. Who knows? Special, weapon enchantment. Who knows what they've put in the game? That's the thing is we don't really know, right? We don't really know. So, are they at the bottom? Oh yeah. Thank you, Jen. So here's the racial one. So we've got. Does it tell me which race is which though? The seal. Oh yeah, human. So seal of vengeance. This is probably your standard vengeance, right? 100 holy damage, and it stacks, right? Yeah. Seal of vengeance is good. Seal of vengeance is a very good, doing a lot of damage seal. It's very good. The dwarf is the seal of mountain. Giving your attacks chance based on weapon speed to gain 109 armor and increase damage with the hammer of the rat by 3%. It stacks up to 5 times. Giving attacks a chance based on weapon speed. So is this saying that I'm going to gain 109 armor and it stacks up? So I could gain possibly up to 500 armor? Unleash these enemies will cause all neighbor targets holy damage. Did someone say Thunder Fury? They did not. And then there's Seal of Penitent, which is the undead. Now what's interesting is you can even learn the undead racial, right? You can learn cross-faction racial knowledge, right? And it's not limited to just your faction. So as a human paladin at level 60, I can somehow go through the undead racial knowledge questline and unlock the Seal of Penitence. All main attacks deal additional holy damage equal to 35% weapon damage, but the paladin loses health. I never like the idea of losing health by doing damage, so yeah, I don't like that one. I don't really. That's like Seal of Blood. So like Seal of Blood, Seal of Mountain's interesting because I like to play Protection Paladin in a very defensive kind of. I kind of call it like what did I call it when I played my Protection Warrior in the War Within? I called it I had a name for the build. I called it the Disruptor. And I called my Protection Warrior in the War Within, I called my build the Disruptor build. So, because what I did was I ran into battlegrounds and I just disrupted. I created chaos. I was a disruptor. I would be the front line. And people would all see me running at them and they would just think, it's a warrior. They would all blow all their cooldowns and they would hit me and hit me and hit me. And I would just survive, right? And so I called that the Disruptor build. And let's see. There's a really good one here where we can show you guys. I don't know which one it is, though. It's this one. Check this out. This is me playing a Protection Warrior in the War Within on what I called my Disruptor build. Why is this audio so janky? Notice I'm going to have like 4 or 5 people trying to kill me. So this was a battleground in Warsun Gulch where my team was getting annihilated. So if you look at the minimap, most of my team was just sitting at the spawn because they were too afraid to come down. But I said, fuck that. I'm going to come down and I'm going to get this whole enemy team to try to kill me so that my team can, can like change their underwear, stop crying and change their panties and get some balls and come out and do something. So right now I'm getting hit by 3 people, 4 people. I'm getting hit by 4 people right here. 2 ranged and 2 melee.
You can kiss your ass
goodbye. They're still trying to kill me. But the point was I'm drawing them away from my enemy's spawn. Or from my spawn, my home team spawn.
You can kiss your ass
goodbye. I was almost dead here. I did get this. I'm almost dead here. I did get a priest comes over and drops like a shield on me, like the whatever it's called, which I got really lucky with that. Watch. Right here, the barrier. Probably saved my life.
Lovely.
What's funny about retail WoW is look at all the stuns in the root. It's just like root, stun, root, stun, root, stun. It's ridiculous. Booms. I was laughing because so many people were trying to kill me and they couldn't. And now that... So what happened is so many people were trying to kill me, and finally my team resurrected. And since all like 5 people were spent so much effort trying to kill me, then of course it cleared out my spawn. So all of a sudden what happened was my team started to come to my aid. And what it was basically me just staying alive versus 5 people basically completely changed this battleground. I think we were down 1-0. We ended up winning this battleground, and it was all because of this key moment of me actually stopping them from farming our spawn. That was I turned the whole game, and it was the Protection Warrior Disruptor build. But this is one of the styles I like. This is one of the styles I love to play. I love to play like a very hard to kill character that can kind of be the front line to absorb a lot of damage, but also provide some CC and provide some support. And that's the way I've always looked at Protection Paladins, but Protection Paladins just don't really have the best toolkit in vanilla. So if we can take some of the stuff that we see for Protection Paladins and Project Epoch and try to push a kind of build like that where we're hard to kill, and we can kind of provide some utility to our team with Hand of Freedom, Hand of Protection. But the real key, and again, like I said, Jinteki, if we can get the AoE damage going out there, because we're not going to do a ton of single target damage, because really, Protection Paladin really just isn't built that way. But with Avenger's Shield, which is going to jump and hit multiple people, and if we have runes, which I don't know if we do, not runes, but glyphs. I don't know if do we have glyphs in Project Epoch? Anyways, we're going to have some abilities to do AoE damage between Consecration, between Avenger's Shield, and now that we've got this seal, right? Now that we have the seal of dedication, which we can switch to in those situations, we're going to be able to, and also the fact that some of our abilities are now scaling with holy power. We're going to be pushing spell power, a lot of spell power. I definitely would be going an enchanter tailoring build so that we can get the spell, so I can craft my own spell power cloak, so I can chant my rings with spell power. We're definitely going to be pushing as much spell power as we can. And could we get it to the point where we could go in a battleground and do the front line, where I can charge in as the front line person, make the enemy team waste their DPS cooldowns on me. Let them waste their shit. Let them blow their wad trying to kill me. And then once I've kind of weakened their cooldown pool, their pool of their most powerful abilities, then my team comes in and now they can, maybe I bubbled, who knows? Maybe I just bubbled and healed up, who knows? but they really haven't killed me. All they've done is waste all their major cooldowns, and that's one of the things I love to do in a PvP scenario. So yeah, so that's the other class that really appeals to me is the paladin, and like I said, everybody who knows me knows I've played thousands and thousands of hours on paladins and specifically protection paladins. So I certainly have no lack of experience on the class, and I know there's some different stuff with seal twisting, different things, and I'm not sure how good it's going to be. Or seal twisting is good in certain situations, but a lot of times it's almost like a waste of time. It just depends. In a PvP scenario, it could be useful because you can eke out some different damage, but we'll have to see. So, but yeah, but I think paladin could be interesting. I haven't looked at the trees until just right now. I looked at the hunter talent calculator for the hunter. I definitely think for the hunter, like I can't really I don't think I would do a BM build for the survival hunter that I would roll for the server, just because I think it takes too many points away from what I want to do in the survival tree. There's too many good things I think in survival. I think there is. I thought there was one ability. There was one ability that applied rain. Oh, it's the hunter's mark. One of the interesting things here is that improved Hunter's Mark now applies not only range attack power but also melee attack power. So we may want to try to get that. If you do something like this, I don't know if we can afford that. But I mean, thinking about cause 100% of your Hunter's Mark, abilities base attack power to apply to melee attack power as well. That's going to help out quite a bit. And of course, I do like to have a lot of defensives on my hunter, so I would definitely want to have improved aspect of the monkey. Just because I like to be able to mitigate rogues and warriors by just having high amount of deflection, high amount of dodge rating. And the other thing too is that if you can get into lightning reflexes, that really plays into your dodge rating and your crit rating. So you can get an insanely high amount of dodge with this particular build. If agility still increases, dodge, and I don't know if it's going to increase armor in Project Epoch, but in vanilla, agility gives you crit, it increases your armor, it increases your dodge, and I think that's it. I think that's all it does. And of course, it increases your ranged attack power. One agility is like 2 ranged attack power. I think one agility might be like 1 melee attack power. I think that's right. But yeah, I think the build that I would like to do would be something like this. I don't think I'll have enough talent points to do it though. It would be probably would entrapment would be nice, but it's kind of a luxury, really. It's not really like a necessity. So if you get this, now how many points? So we still have 11 points left. So here we've got a lot of the key abilities. The one thing that I don't think we're gonna get readiness, which would be nice, but I think trying to get into improved, this is really just for survival purposes. This is going to make our pet have a little bit more health, but it also increases my health as well. So this is going to increase my health as well. So that helps. And of course, the dodge, definitely is going to help my survivability. And we will be swapping aspects, but a lot of times if we're going up against a warrior or a rogue, we're definitely going to be sitting an aspect of the monkey. And of course, we're going to be using deterrence. And Wyvern Sting, useful. I don't know if it has to be shot while out of combat. Sting, any damage cancels. Because Wyvern Sting and TBC, you have to be out of combat when you use it, so it's kind of pointless. It's like, it has some uses. Where it really kind of can shine in a PvP scenario is if you have 2 targets coming at you and they see you and you know that they're going to jump on you and you're not in combat yet, Wyvern Sting can help because you can Wyvern Sting the first target. And then you can set up your trap to get that target out of the Wyvern Sting. So you can kind of solo the one enemy, kill them as fast as you can while the other one's sitting in the Wyvern Sting, and then hopefully follow the Wyvern Sting up with your freezing trap. That'll give you a pretty good amount of time to hopefully kill the first target. But once you're in combat, if we can't use Wyvern Sting in combat, then this becomes kind of a worthless ability. Although you could feign death and maybe pop Wyvern Sting. I haven't played around with Wyvern Sting a lot, doing it that way. And of course, you got to have resourcefulness because we need to reduce our traps. So we're still sitting at points left, and now you have to think about what do you want to do. I would definitely want to go for the throat's good. The thing is, if you're not going to go far down into the Beastmaster T, then it kind of sucks because you would want to. It'd be nice to go down. As a survival hunter, who's doing more melee-based attacks, having a pet that's strong is really useful because what happens is when you're doing like a melee kind of hunter build, thick hide is good, but the thing with thick hide is that most people won't go after your pet, right? Like most people won't go after your. I mean, you pretty much are going to go for thick hide just because you don't have really better talents to go for to get you down to the next level, the next rows. Um, but what happens is when you're playing survival hunter as like kind of like a melee hunter, where you're not doing a lot of range damage, you're kind of jumping in and just beating people in the face. They're going to focus on you. If you go up to a warrior and you hit him with a raptor strike and it does like a shit ton of damage, you've got like a really good weapon, and you've got your savage strikes. So your raptor strike has a 20% chance to crit. Plus you're rolling with like 5 out of 5 lightning reflexes, and you're stacking agility like crazy. You're going to have like a 35-40% chance to crit. So you're going to be critting all the time. And so if you go up there and hit him in the head and do like a ton of damage, he's going to focus you. He's not going to focus your pet. So thick hide can be kind of a waste. But if you're just you may have to just do that just so you can get down to the next level. You know what I mean? So you can do this, which is going to say ask for the hawk. Don't really attack 10%. This one's kind of garbage. Damage caused. This is kind of ooh. Now this one. This does increase your kill command of your pet, so this one's pretty useful. You don't really need bestial swiftness. It's nice, but it's just a luxury. So if you're trying to push DPS of your pet, then you're going to be wanting to go into Unleashed Fury. So this build here, right here, actually isn't bad because your pet's going to have 20% increased damage. You're going to have, some mitigation. So you're going to be able to go into Aspect of the Monkey. So your dodge rating is going to be quite high because you'll be stacking a lot of agility. So your dodge is probably going to be up around 35-40% easy. Your crit's probably going to be up around 30 to 35%. It really depends on a lot of the gear that exists in the game. We don't know. There could be gear that gives us like agility, gives us dodge and hit rating, and it's hard to say. But this gives us a lot more than what we had in vanilla because we're getting the extra attack power from improved Hunter's Mark. We're also getting now this is kind of bullshit. We don't really need this. This is the thing that makes me not want to go here because I'm not going to be using my ranged weapons that much, so this is kind of pointless. So really, we can recoup these talent points. I don't think if we're going to do like a melee hunter, if we're going to do a melee hybrid where we focus mostly on melee damage, we're not really doing range damage that much. Maybe we could do it since this is going to be a pretty big PvP server. What we could do is if we wanted to, we could say that, okay, we can use concussive shot. And if we can use concussive shot, then we could go improve concussive shot, and we could go improve Hunter's Mark just so that we could get that additional attack power. We could go down this path. So we could basically, at this point, what we would do is say, okay, our survival hybrid melee hunter can use concussive shot, and they can use Serpent Sting. Those are the only 2 ranged abilities they can use. This gives us a little bit of flexibility. This gives us better kite ability. Sometimes we're going to get that stun, which is obviously really useful. So we could go down this path, or if we didn't want to go down that path and we didn't want to get this extra attack power, we could take these points and we could push it into our pet. This is going to make that way we're going to get our pet stun. We're going to go ahead and get our bestial discipline here. How many points we got? We have 2 points. We need 25. What are we at right now? 23. Unfortunately, we can't get down into frenzy. So yeah, the stun can be really useful. The big decision, really. Here's the thing. We don't really need BM if we can kite well enough to take people out. The problem comes if I roll with this, right? Let me reset this tree. Let's say I roll with this, which is good. I mean, this is actually improved concussive shot's a pretty decent ability. Let's say we roll with this. We could even do an aim shot if we wanted to, but what else we got in here? Reduces the cooldown rapid fire. Let's say we do something like this. Do we have enough to get? Oh, okay. Let's say we do something like this, where we go ahead and go for the throat. This is kind of pointless too, though, because we're not really focusing on pet damage. This build focuses more on us, like us doing the damage. Our pet's just kind of there. And he does some damage, but not a lot. Most people aren't going to focus on my pet because that's not where they're getting hurt from. They're getting hurt from me, most likely. So they're going to come after me. So if we do this and we can't do one-on-one encounters with like a warrior and a rogue, if we can't come out on top in those encounters, then we're going to have to revisit this build. We're going to have to change it. In Vanilla WoW, I've always had to go BM to make the PvP side of the melee hunter work because I needed the pet stun. The pet stun was necessary for me to get separation. The pet stun and the bestial wrath was also necessary because I couldn't get my pet would always be feared. Now, the first thing you do when you go up against like a warlock or like a shadow priest is they just fear your pet, like right off the bat. So if you let's say you get the opener on like a warlock, the first thing you're going to do, you're going to send your pet in, you're going to get Serpent Sting up, and you're going to pop Bestial Wrath. You're going to move in as fast as you can, start beating the guy, getting it. You're going to feign death and drop an immolation trap on the warlock. Then you're going to, the warlock's going to try to fear you. Probably you'll probably get feared, but then when you come out of the fear, you tell your pet to then use intimidation to stun the warlock. That gives you a few precious seconds to kind of get some range. I mean, at that point, you can just do whatever you want. I mean, most likely, you're just going to try to dump some more damage in, drop in another Serpent Sting, move in, beat on them a little bit more. Uh, if you get the Immolation Trap off and you get Serpent Sting off a couple times on him, and if he sat through the Bestial Wrath with your pet on him, he's probably at that point almost dead anyway. So it's going to be interesting. A lot of it depends on how much damage can we push out. Yeah. Like, where's the damage going to come from? Like, just doing like Savage Strikes with Raptor Strike and Mongoose Bite typically isn't enough to really threaten most PvP players hard enough. So we need to come up with something, something else. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm not sure what's going to happen here. So that's where the fun comes, though. We get to try different builds out. We try to figure out what does work. What is going to work. I played TBC, the original TBC, with my brother, and he was a big rogue player, and I played that, all through TBC, and I used to duel my brother all the time, and I was playing a survival hunter, and I would win probably 2 out of every 3, maybe even 3 out of every four duels against him, and he was a very good rogue. And I would probably win 2 or 3. I was winning 60 to 70% of all my duels against him. The reason I was winning is because I stacked a shit ton of agility. I had lightning reflexes. I had deterrence. I stacked a shit ton of agility. I had improved aspect of the monkey. So whenever he got up on me, I just went into monkey. I popped deterrence, and he was missing. Like I would parry block everything, and then I would just drop my frost trap, my slow trap down. Once he got in that, I could just move out. I could move outside of range of him to hit him with concussive shot. And at that point, I wasn't doing like pure melee hunter. I was just doing a regular survival hunter. I would hit him with concussive shot, and I would just kite him. I'd get my pet on him, kite him around, and once I got the one slow on him, it was pretty tough. I mean, he'd try to blind me or something like that, but I think I also built into readiness, though, if I remember correctly. I was in readiness as well. The reason you build into readiness against rogues is you want to be able to pop deterrence multiple times. Same thing with warriors. So I think if we did want to do a survival build for PvP purposes on Epoch, we probably would have to push for readiness just because the double deterrence is a big deal, right? That's a big deal. Plus, it's going to refresh all your cooldowns. So probably like your traps, your feign death, which I don't know if you're necessarily going to need feign death, but it doesn't hurt. It could. I mean, could. I don't know. I don't know if this can be done in combat or not, Wyvern Sting. So I think that's probably where to start with the hunter build, is to start with a readiness build. Just because I think that's the best one that's going to have a chance in PvP. So that's the hunter. If we think about the paladin's going to be interesting because of like what we talked about with the paladin having these different seals. I definitely want to get Seal of the Mountain, but I don't really like starting off. I don't really like playing dwarves, so I'll probably start off as a human paladin, and then I'll work towards unlocking Seal of the Mountain, right? So I definitely want to try that out. And then on paladin, the typical leveling build I use is I usually start off with. Well, I usually start off in holy because I'm trying to get to consecration, but we don't have to do that because we get consecration at, let's see. Where do we get consecration? Classes, paladin, spellbook. Is it a general consecration? It's going to be probably holy, right? Consecration. I don't know what level we get it at, though. I'm sure we can figure it out, but it'll probably be the same as TBC. So let's go. I think it's like level. I think we still get it like level 20, right? Yeah, it's still like level 20. It's just it's not a talent anymore. So if we're looking at a paladin, like how would we build a protection paladin in a way that it could somehow perform the role of the disruptor, which is what I like to play. How can we make it a disruptor paladin, right? A frontline warrior who can absorb a lot of damage and basically just annoy people. So we got to think about it. I mean, we're going to need anything that increases holy power. If we think about Sanctity Aura, increase holy damage done by prayer. So I think Sanctity Aura could be necessary because Sanctity Aura is pretty dang strong. Because it is going to create our damage. The amount of damage caused by targets affected by Sanctity Aura is increased. So it could be interesting. I don't know. It's pretty far down though. Let's say we went that. Improved seal. I've played around with Improved Seal and Sanctity Aura before, and it's but on later versions of WoW, and it's pretty good. I don't know how it's going to work here though. Yeah, I don't think so. And we want Avenger Shield as a cornerstone, so yeah, we can't do it. So I don't think so. We still are going to want Benediction because mana is going to be a real issue. So let's just assume that we're going to have Benediction, and we're going to have Deflection, and probably Improved Judgment. Let's just say we're going to have at least out of this tree. Let's say we're going to go like this, which is our standard abilities talents usually put into Retribution. And then we're going to go with our prop build. We're probably going to go with Divine Intellect, Proof Seal Righteousness, and hit rating. Here, let's just do it as far as like how we do it as we're leveling. As we're leveling, the first thing we're going to do is here, because we want to rush hit rating as fast as possible. Once we get hit rating, I would recommend getting Addiction probably. Well, it depends. We could rush. I mean, Blessed Sanctuary is important. We could just rush through protection first. Yeah, Paladin's always a pain in the ass because, improve seal. Right? If we're using seal righteousness, it's really nice to have. But what about the seals? That's the other thing too. Is do they what seal are we going to be using? I mean, leveling wise, we're probably going to be using Seal of Dedication, and I don't know. It says minimum level 4, so I guess we get this at level 46. So we don't have to worry about that until 46. And if we're human, we're going to have Seal of Vengeance. So we're not going to be talent pointing, right? We're not going to be using Seal of Righteousness because we'll be using Seal of Vengeance, because Seal of Vengeance does a ton of damage. Okay, so we don't need to worry about that. So we're not going to worry about this. So we could just focus on the prot tree first, I would imagine. A lot of people don't. I like shield specialization. I was talking to somebody earlier, and they were like, "Oh, it's only gonna mitigate like 50 damage." I'm like, "Yeah, but if you're leveling, if you're leveling the way I like to level, where I'm like trying to kill as many mobs, no, not Shakadin. No, I don't do Shakadin. I will be doing straight protection AOE leveling. So I want to. You think that's most valuable? I don't know. The thing is, when in that video, they actually that came up. The Shakadin came up in. I'm pretty sure it came up in this video here. I thought it came up in here. I saw something somewhere where they said Shakadin it won't be that great. I don't know where it came up. Maybe I dreamt it. Maybe I dreamt it. Oh, so what are you talking about? Holy power. Where's holy power? I'm assuming, yeah, holy power increases the critical effect chance of realized spells. Yeah, I mean, holy power is great, sure, no doubt about it. But that's pretty far down in the tree. So what I would do personally, the way I like to play, because I like to play more of a defensive build, I'd be focusing at leveling more on with AOE. So I would just definitely be going more for AOE leveling. So in that regard, I'm definitely be going Redoubt and Shield Specialization. Blessing King, sure. I'm not going to go Prove Righteous Fury unless I plan on tanking. Yeah, the dream. I know. I mean, the Holy Power would be great. I mean, if I had my choice, I'd have Holy Power and I'd have freaking Sanctity Aura. You know what I mean? Is it nerfed? I didn't know it was nerfed. Is it nerfed? But how is it nerfed? Like if I okay, so how is it nerfed? If I go out and pull 5 mobs, are you going to tell me that I'm going to get less XP because I'm fighting 5 mobs? Because if you're telling me I'm because that doesn't seem right. What if I'm pulling 10 mobs? If I'm AoE 8 mobs, so 8 mobs. Okay. I guess it depends on how much they're going to nerf it. Was that in the FAQ? Here, this is right. This is where I saw the Shockedin, but it was PvP. Hey Brian, I think this is where I saw it. PvP Shockedin Yea or Nay. So it used to be a thing in vanilla where you had to give up healing potential to do damage from gear. Instead, thanks to Epoch choice to use TBC-based characteristics for things such as healing, power to spell power damage. This is no longer required. Instead, all holy paladins are expected to be able to do damage even if they. Okay, that's not it. It's 10. Well, that's not bad. That's pretty good though. Pulling 10 mobs is plenty. If you can quickly kill 10 mobs, you're going to level pretty quickly. Yeah, so you can still definitely AoE. I mean, 10 is. I mean, the most I ever pull, like if I'm, the most I ever pull is like maybe, 12. Really, to be honest, like if we go to my channel, you don't really pull more than that. On the soda for them. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ooh. I just wanted to see how many I was pulling. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. I'm still really only pulling about 10. Of course, these are low level mobs, but like here I was leveling to 60, just going in Sorrow Hill, but I think I was only pulling like maybe 10 mobs at a time. So you're not really ever gonna pull like a lot more than that. I mean, I know some people like look at old Hobbs videos and stuff. He's like, oh, I'm gonna go into Skull Monastery and pull the whole thing, but I don't know. Oh no, I'm faithful to the Alliance, Miles. I'll definitely be Alliance. With the Paladin, it's going to be enchanting tailoring 100% because I'm going to be pushing spell power. So, but yeah, I'll be going Alliance. I don't know what the build's going to be. That's kind of what we were looking at right now. I mean, if I go with like my normal build that I would use, it would be something like. Yeah, I hate anticipation. Like a lot of people, the thing that's interesting is I see a lot of people not picking improved hammer justice, but when you're doing huge AoE builds, having your hammer justice come up more often is actually really useful. It's actually quite useful. It's good for PvP too. You know, 1 point in Guardian's Favor is nice for reducing the cooldown, on, especially for Hand of Freedom. Again, great for PvP. What is this? All spell damage. Oh, we definitely want to get all spell damage. That would be nice. This is going to be good. This is going to be good. This is going to be good. All right, 13 points left. I mean, I'm just doing this really quick. 13 points left. I definitely would want to grab this. 13. We got 8 points left. Man, 8 points. I'd love to grab these. This is my BG leveling build. Yeah, that's Brian. That you bring up a good point. This build has to work for BGs. This build because we're probably going to be doing a lot of Warsun Gulch because we want the Warsun Gulch mark so we can get our PvP here as fast as possible. Oh, 5% health from the mining. We could do what we could do. Yeah, 5% of mine. That is good. That is actually quite a bit. That's a good point, Miles. We could do tailoring and oh man, that sucks though. We could level 2 characters. I'm trying to think, how could we do this? How could we do this? How could we do this? We could do tailoring and mining. Yeah, we gotta get the 100,000 kills so we get the Grand Marshal, right? We could do 2 characters. If we do 2 characters, we could do mining and tailoring. That way we can do the cloak with spell power. We can get the 5% health bonus from mining. We're going to lose out on the spell power, though. The question is, Miles, is it more important to have the additional spell power versus the additional health? I would argue that, oh man, 5%. 5%. We're looking at around 5,350 health. 5% is only going to be 200 and what? 267.5 health. You know what I mean? Still, it's not a lot, right? And like let's say if you look at when you've got consumables and raid buffs, Blessing of Kings, maybe your health is 8339, right? And I'm going to be lazy. I mean, that would be 800. I mean, really, so you're talking 10% is 833 health, right? Well, you're only going to get 5%. So you're looking at 417 health. So is it worth it to have 417 more health when you're buffed with mining, or would you rather have the additional spell power? Keep in mind that additional spell power is going to increase your healing, although I don't know what kind of heals we're going to be able to do. I'm thinking more for PvP, not tanking. Yeah, 400 health is quite a bit. I'm not going to... It is quite a bit. I'm thinking more for PvP, though. I'm not really, like... You see the standard for tanks, though. See, I'm not thinking tank, though. I'm not thinking like I'm going to go out and... I'm certainly not going to raid tank. I'm not really a raid player. I mean, I could raid, but it's not necessarily like my focus. It just depends. The only time I'll raid is if there's something I really want to get from a raid. And also a lot of it comes down to the gear sets. Like, so if like the raid gear that we get from raiding has set bonuses that are really good for PvP, then I'll have to do the raids to get the gear. Yeah, I think the meta would definitely be mining and Torn. I agree with you 100%, Miles. I 100% because that's huge. I mean, 10% health. I mean, that's crazy. If you're going from 8,339 to like 9,000, 1,300 or 9,130, that's a lot of health. So, but I'm just trying to think. I don't. Let me look at where's the paladin abilities? Uh, you think alchemy mining will be king? Well, mining will give you the extra. Where's the professions at? What does mining give you? The alchemy, you receive 100% increased duration, or 20% increased effect from elixirs and flasks. And yeah, I guess the question is what's what potion would be running with though? Like think if we were doing like a protection paladin PvP, what potion would we be using? Are we going to be using like some, like I don't even know what all the potions are going to be. I mean, are we doing is this TBC potions? Is it Wrath of the Lich King pots? Yeah, I mean Mongoose is crit with agility. Yeah, I don't either. I mean, we could have the armor. Restoration 100% increased effect. I mean, I think the armor, at least the vanilla one's only like 450 armor. It's probably more for TBC. It could be good. Well, if you think about it from that point of view, right? If you think about it from that point of view, well, think about like the armor potion. If it is 25% increased effect, and let's say the armor potion is like 600 armor or something. I mean, if it's 25% increased effect, that's pretty significant. You know, you're talking like 700 armor or something. Let's go. Hmm. Let's just say we're looking at like the Burning Crusade. We've got flasks. Flask of creature maximum health by 500 and defense by 10. Increase spell damage. Look at this. Increase spell damage caused by arcane and holy spells. Ooh. Think about that. Think about like this one. If we had Flask of Binding Light, it increases our holy damage by 80 plus 25% on top of that. You're talking what, 16? Plus 4. What is that? 20 plus another 20. So it'd be like 100. You like increase your damage by 100. Yeah, it'd be 100 spell power. So that would be pretty good. Yeah, that could be really good. That could be good. And then if you went with mining, so mining and alchemy, and then we just would have to have our other character pick all the herbs. Dude, it's gonna be crazy. This server's gonna be off the hook, right? This server's gonna be so insane. There's gonna be so many people playing this server. What I like is that they, you know, yeah. Well, the problem though is the tailor because the I don't think the cloak is usable by you, right? Let's see. Permanent burst spell threat into pants, increasing healing. Okay, never mind. The threads can be used. Is this? Can it be used? Where is it at? Your best PvP gear. My voice can earn a wide variety of activities background. It says your basic rare quality PvP gear and some items such as food or consumables. But we don't see anything in here. This is just gear. This is just gear. I don't see anything here, right? Oh, you said is it Marks of Honor? Yeah, here we've got emblems. Yeah, it's these right here, right? So the emblems are going to be, I don't know if these are going to be enchantments or if they're going to be gems that you socket or what. But obviously these are going to, yeah, these are going to be some sort of a bonus effect. I mean, alacrity is going to be speed, dominance, maybe this is probably attack power, renewals, maybe like health regen or bonus healing, upturn. I don't know. Emblem of betterment. No idea. Cogitation. Shoulder back enchants. You think? Yeah, possibly. But going back to the tailoring, I can't remember. Are the threads only usable? Are these soulbound? I can't. They're not. I can't remember. No, it doesn't. It binds when picked up. Yeah. See, these are soulbound. Or is the pattern? These are soulbound, right? So you can't. That's what I'm saying. If you go tailoring on another character, it doesn't really benefit. It wouldn't benefit the paladin for my alt to be a tailor. Yeah, only tailors can use it. Yeah. Yeah. And the leg enchant too, I think. I think the leg enchant also I thought was maybe not, unless I'm reading this wrong. What about the leg enchant? Is that only the tailor can use it or can anybody use it? I mean, it doesn't say bound. This doesn't say bound on pickup, but this one does. I guess the pattern is bound on pickup, but that's just the pattern probably. Yeah, I don't know. No, Yay chant, leg chant. Okay. So, what I'm thinking. Here's what I'm thinking. I mean, and this is pretty much what I thought all along. Is I'm probably going to play a paladin and a hunter. Am I going to post this live? Am I going to post this live later? Ayente, what do you mean, dude? Am I going to post this live later? The stream's already posted in the Discord. Look at the leatherworking epic image. You mean in the professions? Yeah, I saw this one. Yeah. Yeah, I saw this one. Increases damage and healing. Improves your chance to hit. Set 3, increase damage and healing done by magic spells. So that's healing. Yeah, no, Yente, this is you can watch it anytime. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it'll be. I'm streaming it now, so it'll be on my channel. Yeah, you can go to the beginning of this anytime you want. Well, it has an item level though. Plus the damage to beasts. Oh, for skinning. Yeah, yeah. Well, I think. I mean, it has item level 63, but that doesn't matter, right? I mean, that's just the item level. It's not like a requirement level. Not a required level. Because it's gear. Like if you got, they have like gem, like for like I'm playing Wrath of the Lich King right, or not Wrath. I'm playing like Mist of Pandaria pre-patch right now, and like you have a gem that says item level 285, which means it can't you can't put that gem in an item that's lower than 285 item level. But yeah, I think so. If that's, I can't imagine that's accurate though. I can't, Brian, I can't imagine that's accurate. That would be crazy. That would be absolutely crazy if that was true. But as it stands, I mean, what I'm thinking is I'm going to have a paladin, a protection paladin, and a survival hunter. Um, the talent for the survival hunter, I think, is going to be probably going down to readiness, most likely. The paladin is still kind of, I think we're still going to be something like this. I think they said their eye level went through a squish, so a level 63 item would be less powerful on Epoch than on traditional class. Okay, yeah. There's so much. That's the thing with Epoch is there's so much I don't know. That's why I think it's super important to just really watch a lot of videos, to go through and read as much as I can on the forums. Otherwise, I probably will, and actually have you guys too. One of the biggest reasons why I like to stream is people in the stream can tell me, because a lot of you guys will know stuff I don't know, which is fantastic because it saves me the time of having to dig it up. So, but on the paladin, yeah, no, well, it is the most exciting part. Yeah, I mean, the unknown is what makes. That's why I have this. That's why I have this right here. To me, this is one of the most exciting things about Project Epoch is this: the fact that there's 2,200 plus new pieces of equipment. We have no idea what they. I mean, we talk because remember the gear in Vanilla WoW has a dramatic effect on playstyles and viability of classes, right? So like Protection Paladin wouldn't be like Protection Paladin would be kind of dog shit if it wasn't for Skull Flame Shield, if it wasn't for Flurry Axe, if it wasn't for, like um, Uther's Trinket. I mean, those things combined together have a dramatic effect on the effectiveness and the viability of AoE Protection Paladin play. Um, and so we don't know what kind of items are going to drop that could dramatically change a class. You know what I mean? Is it like 93? Yeah, I have no idea what the item level of items are in Classic. Yeah. Planned the Uldum raid. I do like Uldum. Uldum was pretty cool, though. Yeah. They said that the power creep shouldn't be too much of an issue for a long time. They said it should be a ways out before that's really going to be an issue. A way out, quite a ways out. But as far as the paladin, I think this would be like kind of my starting point of what my talent build might be like. I still have 8 points left. I mean, I would like to get. I probably should get Divine Intellect just because, you know. But then we're only gonna have 1 point in deflection. But do you really want to like lose intellect? That's paladins are so dependent on mana. But that's well, I prefer deflection over the mana just simply because yeah, I don't have a lot of mana, but while I'm in the fight, I have much better defensive capabilities with the deflection. So we could go deflection and I don't know. I mean, I don't think we're going to get anything great unless we went down to the Holy Tree. And if we go into the Holy Tree, we're not going to be able to get deep prot, right? Yeah. Well, there's so much that we don't know about the gear, and we would hope that we'd be able to find something that's going to help with mana regen. Maybe even some professional-based stuff too. We might have some better cooking stuff that gives us better mana. Who knows? There's just so much. There's so much unknown about Epoch, which is what's really cool. Hey, what's up, Alex? You never played a private server? Oh shit, man! I played so many private servers. Most of them weren't that great. I mean, Lights Hope was a lot of fun. Lyceum, Lights Hope. I had a blast on those. I mean, we could certainly scale back. Probably, we might be able to scale back some of these. I don't know what. Like, I mean, We can't. No, we need all these points to get to this required. Let's see. Just trying to think if there's any of these skills that we could dump. I don't know, man. I mean, we could drop a couple points out of combat. Really, your first private server? I don't. I love warlocks, but I don't play them a lot. I don't play a lot of casting classes. And the biggest reason I figured out why I don't like casting classes, I love warlocks. I love mages. I don't like standing still. I don't like being forced to stand still. I like to be mobile. That's one of the reasons why I have a hard time with a warlock. And warlock may be a lot more mobile in this version than it is in vanilla. Like in vanilla, when you're doing like life drain and soul drain and stuff like that, you're just standing still. So much like hunter. Yeah, it's similar. I agree. But again, the hunter's a lot more mobile. At least in vanilla. I have no idea how mobile warlock's going to be on this server. I haven't looked at warlock. Um, but we could dump a few points out. The other interesting thing, we're not going to be using seal. Just trying to think. I mean, for leveling speed, one thing you could do, like for leveling speed, if you wanted to, you could actually do this. You could drop some points out of combat expertise. You could go improve Seal the Crusader because that's going to give you 3% additional crit. Just as far as single target leveling, if you were just like focusing maybe a little bit on like single target, but again, that's kind of counterintuitive, or it's kind of against like the AOE, like kind of the AOE build. But I mean, but still, 3% crit's a shit ton of crit. You always play Locker Priest. Yeah, I'm gonna be leveling his prot. I'll be leveling his prot for sure. You're playing Mage for the first time because you love the design of the Arcane Blast. Ooh, I do love Arcane Blast and missiles. I do love Arcane Mage. I mean, I'm thinking of playing Survival Hunter and Protection Paladin. It'll be Alliance for sure. I'm pretty much an ally player usually. Alliance. But it would be interesting. We could go with improved, but do we want to? But the thing is, would we be doing that? Like, if we're doing AOE, we're not going. Thing is, we're not going to judge Seal of Crusader if we're doing AOE. We're going to be using Seal of Light, so that's kind of a waste. So I think you're better off just going expertise, and then we've got one talent point left. We could just throw that into mana. Yeah, there might be. Yeah, there could be. But anyways, this would probably be my build. This build would probably be the build that I would level with. I think it's a pretty decent build. I don't, because I'm not concerned with speed. The difference for me, like, I don't really worry about leveling speed. Like, I worry about how well does my character perform in specific situations. So if I put points into Pursuit of Justice, that means I have to take points out of areas that make my character more apt to handle certain situations better. And that might mean I have to take some points out of deflection, which means that I'm going to start getting hit more. You know what I mean? So I'm going to take more damage. I'm not really into worrying about speed. So I know a lot of people are thinking about leveling as fast as they can, but I don't play World of Warcraft. I don't play any MMOs. To me, it's all about the journey. It's not about getting to the end. So, hey, what's up, AR? So I'm not really concerned. I mean, which is fine. I'm not saying it's fine for other people. Other people, they want to level quickly. That's great. I understand what they're doing. But for me, I really play the game to. I've played World of Warcraft since beta in 2004. So I've pretty much done the game. I've played the game for so long that what makes the game fun for me is to explore different builds, especially. Yeah, shut up, Alex. Especially builds that are like, like that are kind of shit on, builds that people think are shitty. That's what I do. Like, that's why I play like Melee Hunter, Protection Paladin. I'll try to like PvP as a Protection Paladin, stuff like that. I do stuff that people will say, oh, you're stupid, you're crazy. I mean, I've gotten turned down in groups because I was a melee hunter, and then I've gone into groups. I used to like when I first started doing melee hunter and hardcore like in Skull Rock. I was doing hardcore melee hunter, and people wouldn't even let me get into their group as a melee hunter. They wouldn't even. Yeah, I do the off meta. People wouldn't even let me go into groups as a melee hunter because they were so worried that I wouldn't do enough damage that I was increasing more of the threat in hardcore of them of encounters lasting longer. So I was actually making it more dangerous for them. So then I stopped telling people I was a melee hunter, and then I would just say I'm a hunter. And so I would get into these groups going into like Skolomons or BRD or whatever, UBRS, LBRS. And then I would be like number 2 on damage or number 1 on damage, and people would start to go, "Wait a minute, are you just doing melee?" And I'd be like, "Yeah." And they're like, "How the hell are you number 1 on DPS?" And I'm like, that's when the shit gets really fun. When people realize that you're running the whole dungeon as melee and that you're number 1 on DPS. That's when people really start to like they start to like it breaks their brain. They're just like, "How is this happening?" Like they don't even get it. It actually takes a lot of work. I mean, you have to have the right gear, you have to have the right enchants, you have to have the right consumables, and you have to be really good at getting off your traps on your AOE traps on as many mobs as possible. There's refreshing your traps. It actually takes quite a bit of effort. It's not easy. So, but it's a lot of fun. It's like way more fun than just playing marksman, standing back and pressing a couple buttons. That's boring as shit. So, yeah. So I guess you're definitely gonna try out Druid, Alex. Yeah, I think Druid looks like it could be really good. What about the illumination talent in Holy? Yeah, being able to lay traps in combat. Like we looked at the hunter, and that's why I think this will be the hunter build. Pretty sure this is going to be like my hunter build. Um, well, actually, this is not it. I'm sorry, we didn't finish the hunter build because I think to optimize DPS and to optimize the kind of viability of doing PvP with kind of like a hybrid melee survival hunter, I think we probably almost are going to be mandatory that we have readiness, which means we're going to have to go further down, which is a little bit unfortunate. So in this case, we'd go here. We'd go well, and we're actually not that far off though. Oh, never mind. We can get it. So this, what is Master Tactician? So this would probably be, yeah. So this would be the melee hunter build. The nice thing about this build is we're going to have improved aspects of the monkey. We're going to have improved hunter's mark, which gives us 100% chance that hunter mark ability is going to apply towards my melee attack power as well, right? We're still going to have readiness, so we can double pop deterrence when we get those nasty melees on us. We're missing 1 point in entrapment, but entrapment's not really a necessity, to be honest. So we could probably dump. I'm not sure. We'll have to look at this some more. And then of course, we'll allow the hunter to use 2 ranged abilities with this build. The 2 ranged abilities we allow the hunter to use. I'm not going to call Wyvern Sting a ranged ability. I guess we can call it a ranged ability, but it's such a special, unique thing. I guess you could say that they'll have 3 ranged abilities. We'll be able to use Concussive Shot, Wyvern Sting, and Serpent Sting. Sometimes what I like to do for Melee Hunter, and when I call it like the Hybrid Hunter, is I say they can just use stings. Like I say, well, you can use Viper Sting, Scorpion Sting, Serpent Sting, Wyvern Sting, and that's it. That's the only ranged abilities you can use. You can't use like aimed shot or like rapid fire, or like rain of arrows, whatever it's called. You can't use like arcane shot. I can't use multi shot, all that kind of stuff. So, and you can't use auto attack. You try to prevent yourself from auto attacking, so you don't ever use auto shot. So if you ever watch me play like a melee hunter, my rotation typically is going to be, if I'm going into combat, it's like, okay, I'll maybe toss out a couple serpent stings. I'll send my pet in. I'll run right in to the middle of as many mobs as I can. I will feign death, drop a explosive trap, and then immediately go into my melee rotation, which is usually going to be wing clip right into Raptor Strike, and then as soon as and then hopefully if my feign death comes off, of course, and now we don't have to drop combat to drop our traps, so that's going to make things a lot easier because playing Melee Hunter the way I played it in vanilla is I would run through my mana pool really quickly because I always had to feign death, and since the traps are on a 15-second cooldown, typically most encounters, most like pulls, I could get 2 traps off. That means I have to feign death at least once, and feign death takes, significant amount of mana. So I would pretty quickly. They said they fixed the scaling issue, and it might be pretty good for sword and board. I normally use Seal of Righteousness. I normally do use Seal of Righteousness. The only reason we weren't doing it here is because of the new seals that they have. Like if you look at, let's see, do we still have it? I mean, we've got these new seals. I mean, Seal of Vengeance. Well, here's the thing. We're going to be starting off as a human with Seal of Vengeance. So would Seal of Righteous be better than Seal of Vengeance? We definitely can try it. I mean, it's not going to cost that much money to respec. We're definitely going to be respecking. I mean, if you guys have watched me stream, I always end up respecking 3 or 4 times. Even when I think I know, even when I play Vanilla WoW, which I've played for years and years and years and years, I almost always end up respecking 2 or 3 times. I just do because I always feel like, oh, this time I'm going to build slightly differently, and then I always end up realizing, you know what, the build I usually use is better than this. But I mean, my thought process was we'd be using Seal of Vengeance. But, we could. If we did spec into Seal of Righteousness, we would have to drop something somewhere. So that would be tough. We would have to, I don't know. It'd be tough. I can't see myself losing out on deflection and expertise to go Seal of Righteousness. It doesn't feel very like a good decision. But yeah, hey Brian, have a good night, man. Have a good night, man. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it would have to really outperform the Seal of Vengeance, which I'm not sure it will. If Seal of Vengeance works like Seal of Vengeance normally works, I mean, Seal of Vengeance usually does quite a bit of damage. So the difference with Seal of Righteousness is Seal of Righteousness does make internal weapon procs proc more often, causing holy damage, which I don't think Seal of Vengeance would do that. But I don't really know what kind of weapons we're gonna have. Like for example, if I have a weapon that has an internal proc that has a chance to proc like a Shadow Bolt or something, or if you have like a Flurry X, for example. I mean, it tends to proc a lot more with Seal of Righteousness. I don't really know why the PPM is higher, but it just is. And I think it's just simply because the extra tick damage from the Seal of Righteousness effect also has a chance to proc the internal proc of the weapon, which unfortunately doesn't work the same way with Seal of Light. Like for example, if I judge, like in a lot of private servers, if I judge the target with Seal of Light, then anytime I hit that target, I have a chance to heal myself. Because they're judged with Seal of Light. Every time I hit them, there's a chance I might get healed. On some private servers, both me hitting them and the extra holy damage applied by the Seal of Righteousness, which I like to call just additional tick damage, both of those effects of my white weapon damage hit and the Seal of Righteousness holy tick additional damage would have a chance to proc the Judgment of Light on the target. So I could theoretically swing once and get healed twice. Private servers actually worked that way. But Classic WoW, when Classic WoW came out, it didn't work that way. But what's interesting about that is Classic WoW, it didn't work that way, but still the internal weapon procs did work that way. Meaning that Seal of Righteousness tick damage, he'll still had a chance to proc whatever the weapon effect had. So if I've got a weapon that has a chance to shoot out a lightning bolt or something, if I'm using Seal of Righteousness, it's going to proc a lot more often than if I'm using like Seal of Vengeance, probably. Yeah, well, it'll definitely worth looking at then. INT. I'll definitely take a look at it. Um, and we don't even have to talent point into it right away because we won't have any talent points probably at level because you get Seal of Righteousness at level 1 usually. And that's your first seal. So we'll be able to use Seal of Righteousness right away. Um, Minimum level 50. Well, let's see, this doesn't really tell us, but usually you get it at level 1. So I don't really know. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't even know when we get Seal of. I mean, we'll definitely do the numbers. You know what I mean? You hope they nerf bubble in PvP. Oh, quit your crying, Alex. Come on now. So, paladins aren't the strongest characters in PvP. So, if you're worried about paladins in PvP, man, like if you look at any PvP tier list for like Vanilla WoW or TBC or Wrath of Lich King, you're not going to see paladins at the top of any of those tier lists. So, I don't think bubble's ever really a big issue. You won't be able to post a link in the stream chat, INT. So if you want to show me a build, you could go into the Epoch and just post it in maybe the class channel. Yeah, I know. Let's see. I don't. Well, I haven't seen anything. I haven't really seen anything that makes paladins like OP. You know what I mean? Yeah. The class changes haven't. I mean, there's some changes that look interesting. Where did you post it? Did you post it in maybe the paladin section? I'm going to guess. Right here. All right, cool. All right. Like it, like it. Okay, like it, like. Yeah, you don't have precision. So I don't like the fact that you don't have precision because that hit rating is going to be huge. Toughness, like it, like it. This is for tanking. So since I'm not planning on probably really focusing on tanking while I'm leveling, I don't really need this. But again, if you're tanking, then yeah, of course you need that. I'm a big. I hate anticipation because 5 talent points to give yourself defense of 20, which like the problem with anticipation is defensive skill of 20 only gives you 0.8, right? Like it's not even 1%. So if you put 5 talent points, which is a lot of talent points, into anticipation, all you're getting out of that is 0.8% increased chance to dodge, block, parry. So not even 1%. So instead of putting it here, and what else you got? You got 2 here, 1 here. It depends on it all depends on what you're trying to do. It all depends on what you're trying to do. And you've got 5 here, 5 here. So you're going with the righteousness. I see you're going with righteous. I would shift your 3 if you're not going to tank, which if you are going to tank, then putting the 3 points here is good. But I would take these 3 points and put them into precision. I would drop all 5 of anticipation, and I would put them into. I'd get at least 4 out of 5 on reckoning, and I would get all. You need one if you're going to be doing tanking or. I would definitely try to get spell warding and ardent defender. But it depends on what you're trying to do. Depends on what you're trying to do, ANT. It depends on what you're trying to do. I mean, if you're trying to tank dungeons, then yeah, there's certain things you're gonna want. Yeah, I know you gotta do it backwards. It's kind of annoying. I mean, yeah, it depends on what you're trying to do. Like, okay, so like, let's say if you're gonna tank dungeons and you want to do improved seal of righteousness, like what you have here, what I would recommend is this, right? I would recommend this if you're gonna tank dungeons, right? Now, you're not going to be able to get down to the bottom, which is not good. So we're going to have to peel back on some of these things. I mean, kings isn't really necessary. It's just a benefit to the rest of your party, but I mean, it's not super necessary. But it is useful and it is good for all stats for tanking. Spell warning, all damage changes. I mean, it's we could probably peel that back. I hate doing it though. What was my build again? How did I have all this? Oh, because I had 6 extra points because I didn't have those in holy. Gotta find your build again. I lost it. Crap. Fuck. Where'd it go? Um, let's reset this. Yeah, 5 points left. I would say if you were really set on Seal of Righteousness and you were really set on 5 out of 5 on deflection, I would go with this build. But I would probably. Yeah, it's tough though between deflection. I probably would do this. I would probably go with this. Yeah, that's why I just changed ripped off. I agree with you, rip off. I would probably, if you wanted to stick with this, where you had 5 in Inferior Seal of Righteous, and you were just trying to tank dungeons, this is probably what I would do. Yeah. You take all 5 max expertise in one-handed. We could do that. You're going to miss out on a little bit of one-handed damage, yeah. I forgot. I missed that ripoff. I missed that my one-handed wasn't maxed. It's now what you're going to get with the one-handed is you're going to get increased threat and a little bit more damage. Yeah. I'm just looking at this. Hold on a second. Yeah. Yeah, no, I kind of agree with you, Ripoff. I kind of agree. I think if you wanted to keep Seal of Righteousness, this is pretty good. I still think my build is better. But I'm not sure how the Seal of Righteousness is going to scale. Um, the difference with my build is I don't have Seal of Righteousness, and I've only got 4 to 5 on Divine Intellect. And I still have 2 points left. 2, 5, 5. Let me go through this again. I really like my build. Now mine's not for tanking though, because I don't have Improved Righteous Fury. I do like having the spell damage reduced, but it's not necessary. Yeah. Because this is an AoE leveling build. Right? I like to level via AoE. Yeah, I don't. Well, I've got 2 more points. I don't have the. Yeah, this isn't complete. This build isn't complete. So this isn't complete. I'm still fucking around with this build. I think I would dump this for this. The other thing that we're missing here, and we could also dump Guardian's Favor. A lot of this, you know how many Blizzard Spies? Probably, who knows, man? Who knows? But I think the other thing we have to think about, there's like this balancing act, right? You have to think about what are you trying to do? Like, I go with Shield Specialization because I'm doing AoE. I want to be able to AoE level with a sword and board. I want to be able to pull a lot of mobs. We can go up to 10 mobs before we take any kind of penalty for AoE, right? So if we can kill 10 mobs at once, that's great. Now, so when I look at this build, there's a few things that we could shift around. One is this. Like if we're AoE leveling, we can easily pull mobs that we know don't do a lot of spell damage. So if we were doing that, we don't even need spell warding. The reason spell warding would come into play is more for PvP. So let's say that we're focused on just leveling. If we're focused on just leveling, we don't need spell warding. Let's say we're focused on just a build. We're not worried about PvP. We're just focused on leveling, right? Then we could do this. Oof, boy. Mm-hmm. We could do something like that. We could do this for just for like AoE leveling. But then if we wanted to do PvP, I would change this a little bit because I would really want, if I was going to do PvP, I would really want to get the spell warding because I do think that's going to be pretty significant. Because you're going to battlegrounds and stuff, you're going to be getting hit by like mages and warlocks, and you start reducing like 4% of all that damage, and it starts to add up. Well, again for PvP, Alex, right? Right. So I reworked this with the thought not PvP, just PvE AOE leveling. This is what I would do. But since this is mostly kind of remember now PvP on this server is optional, right? It's war mode. So if we're just leveling to 60 and we don't care about PvP, and war mode isn't on, we'd be missing out on that 5% bonus. Then I don't think we need spell warding, right? Because we can pick our AoE targets, which means we're going to pick targets that aren't casters. So that's not a problem. So, but if we're going to go PvP, then definitely that's why I had spell warding before. We're going to want spell warding, you know. So if we are going to be doing like some sort of build that's viable, it's not going to be perfectly. It's not, people are going to say it's not viable, but if we're going to do something for PvP, it's going to be something like this, right? Mm. We don't even really need art. I mean, we don't even need Ardent Defender all the way. We could reduce 1 point out of here, but Ardent Defender is really nice. All right, so we got 2 points left. I still think Reckoning is pretty good. Let's say we drop a couple points out of here and just finish out this. Wow, it's only 8%. Is that right? I guess it's right. You think it's going to be 20K? So this would be something that is our leveling build, but it could be, I don't know. I mean, people they say that that protection paladins can't PvP, but I'm certainly going to try to figure out some way to make it work, at least to some degree. Let's take a look at the mage. You're talking about the mage. I mean, Let's take a look at the mage. Let's go to classes, mage. You were talking about arcane, right? They've changed result party members. Blast the target, doing a ton of damage. Each time you cast arcane blast, the cast time is reduced. Okay, that's pretty much typical arcane blast. Launches arcane as the enemy, causing damage every about 5 seconds. We also get arcane barrage though. Consuming every one of your arcane blast stacks. Each stack of arcane blast consume increases damage. Yeah, so your arcane barrage is going to hit really hard. And increases your arcane missiles. Okay, so you're basically going to go into combat. You're going to spam arcane blast. But what's the cast time? Oh, what's the cast time? What's the cast time? What's the cast time? Where's the cast time? Is there no cast time? What's the cast time? You can't tell me it's instant. Hold on a second. Where's Frostbolt? Well, they're not putting cast times on these things, so I'm going to assume that they're TBC cast times. So you're going to go into combat. You're going to want to try to get off 3 arcane blasts if you can. Then you're going to pop your arcane barrage. Then you're going to follow that with arcane missiles. That's what you're going to want to try to do. Good luck having people just stand around letting you do that though. I got the hiccups. Can't believe it. I have the hiccups. Yeah, that's going to be tricky though. I don't remember which version of WoW that was like this, but I've played Arcane Mage before with these abilities, and it definitely hits hard. I don't remember if this was like TBC. I guess it's probably pretty similar, but yeah, exactly. 3 blasts, arcane barrage, and missiles. Yep. Yeah, I mean the thing is, on paper it's great. It all comes down to will you be able to get those casts off? What kind of damage mitigation does the mage have? Of course, mages have. Obviously, you got mage armor. You're going to have probably mana shield. You're going to have ice armor, hopefully. Let's see. It's good. Yeah, you've got ice armor. And you also have frost armor. Slow by 30%. Also get 4%. Increases your armor by 200. So you're going to be using ice armor. And you should have. Is there a mana shield in here? And mage armor. Yeah. Warlock. I don't know, like classes warlock. Curses are an accessibility that only have one per target, and this can be extremely restrictive when you're forced to provide utility curses such as elements. Because of this, we have changed Curse of Agony, Curse of Doom, Curse of Exhaustion, and Curse of Tongues into Banes, such as Bane of Agony. You can have 1 curse and 1 Bane. Okay. So when you're forced to provide utility, curses such as Curse of Elements, Because of this, we have changed Curse of Agony, Curse of Doom, Curse of Exhaustion, Curse of Tongues into Banes. So it looks like you can have Curse of Elements up and Bane of Agony. I guess. How many curses? Okay, well, all right. All right, so we only have one Bane up. So you get have curse of recklessness, curse of weakness. What was attack power is reduced. So this is pretty cool. Okay? That's gonna make warlocks stronger. Yeah, that's gonna make warlocks definitely stronger in PvP, right? My question is, what is this updated? Can you move while casting? Where's the talent tree? Let's say we want to do destruction. Receiving costs, shadow bolts. Think of mouse and how the dungeon runs in the game. Seed of Corruption has had some of its power moved to Affliction talent tree, and it now requires a target to take additional damage. The effect to trigger addition Rain of Fire has been changed so that it can critically hit, better synergizing with talents in the Destruction talent tree primarily. These changes should bring these two abilities closer depending on your talent build. The Fire Stone and spell items the warlock can conjure have been reworked to make significantly more useful. They are now consumable items instead of equipable items. Firestones can now be used to apply a temporary enchantment to your weapon, giving your enemies attacks a chance to deal fire damage and increase the damage dealt by your fire spell. Spellstones can now be used to dispel all magic effects on you without having to equip the item. However, it shows a cooldown with Hellstones. Interesting. It's the worst tree. Yeah, well, Destro is always my favorite because I don't like dealing with pets. But yeah, I mean, it looks to me like Warlock's definitely got some buffs. But since I'm not a Warlock player, I won't be playing the Warlock. But I definitely can see where some of the stuff looks pretty interesting. You don't think it's in PvP? Yeah. Okay, and we go to classes. I haven't looked at Rogue yet. Let's take a look at Rogue. Have you ever wanted to brutally hack your enemy to death with an axe? I hope not, but if your answer is yes, you're in luck. Rogues can now equip one-handed axes, giving you a greater selection of weapons to choose from. Selecting another target will no longer delete your comp points. I think that's a cool change. So your combos will be deleted only if you generate a new combo point on a different target. Okay, so that's actually really interesting. So if I've got 3 combo points on a target, I switch to a new target, I can instantly do a 3 combo point eviscerate or a 3 combo point kidney shot. But if I hit them with a combo point generating ability and generate 1 combo point, my 3 combo points get deleted down to just 1. That's actually a really interesting change, and I really like that. That gives you the ability to switch, right? To switch your targets and still get off some CC or some quick burst without having to do anything. But you can't just immediately like keep going and get like a 5 combo point up right away. That's pretty cool. Lockpicking skill itself has not changed. Recommend your ability sees new uses. Like the Skullamon's dungeon now features a locked door right at the beginning inside the dungeon, meaning every group now requires a key to actually progress. Interesting. That's the only things I see. Hmm. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I love priests. It's hard to tell because like a lot of the abilities they're updated. I have to actually look at the TBC version to see is it what's the change. It's updated. I wish they when they say updated, I wish they would have taken the time to say how was it updated, what was changed that made it updated. So priest overview: it is common for priests to bless their allies with power or health, and holy water is a substance you hear about in various areas of Azeroth. So why not create your own with the new ability bless? Okay, this is super fucking cool. I love me some like RP stuff. With your new ability, Bless Water, you can. Bless Water allows you to transform a refreshing spring water item into a holy water item, which can be thrown to harm undead creatures. You can even trade this holy water to your allies. Be sure to stock up on holy water for your next outing against the Scourge. That's cool. Smite thy foes. The common request we've seen in the past is that some priests just want to lean into their holy side and fight enemies without using shadow magic. Many talents have shuffled around, and some spells have been adjusted to make Smite Priest playstyle more viable. Please note this isn't considered a serious build for raid tuning, but you should now be able to hold your own and deal respectable damage. Most notably, it should be easier to level up using this previously neglected playstyle. Okay, racial knowledge, reward effects, further optimizations, nothing crazy there. Let's look at the spellbook. Let's go ahead and look at racial knowledge. All right, you can use the racial knowledge system to adopt racial abilities. Okay, so here's the racial knowledge. Dwarf has Chastise, which is going to immobilize a mob target for 2 seconds. Desperate Prayer. It's human and dwarf racial. Night Elf has Loon's Grace, which is kind of not the best. I think what's interesting, it is 2-week cooldown, yeah. I think what's interesting is that you can grab the opposite faction stuff. So one of the things that's really cool is like Undead Devouring Plague. Devouring Plague is really strong if you're like going for a DPS priest. So Devouring Plague is really strong. If you go like Shadow Priest, Devouring Plague is nice. So I would definitely want to go Shadow Priest and go get the Undead racial. Star Shards, it's channeling now, isn't it? See, the problem with Star Shards is... Oh yeah, so here's the thing. Star Shards in TBC is instant cast. Star Shards in Vanilla is a channel ability. So if they kept Star Shards as the TBC version, it's actually super strong. And the reason Star Shards is super strong is if you think about rogues and you think about feral druids, you think about any class that's going to stealth and try to kill you, which is mostly going to be druids and rogues, right? Star Shards is another instant cast debuff that sits on the target for 15 seconds and bringing them out of stealth. The cool thing about it is you can now cast 2 instant cast dots, and it's harder for people to cleanse those off, quickly, right? Because there's 2 of them. So if you've got a rogue and a priest coming at you, and you want to make sure that rogue is not being able to stealth on you, you just throw Star Shards and Shadow Word Paint on them, and it takes some time for them to get that cleansed so that they can then re-stealth. So and actually it does a decent amount of damage. So if somebody's really close to death and you're playing a healing priest, for example, in like arena or something, you have the ability to just quickly like cast those 2 instant casts on the target that's almost dead, and your Shadow Word Pain and your Star Shards, those 2 dots can a lot of times just take them out, right? So I love Star Shards in TBC, mostly because it is instant cast. And then it gets removed entirely, I think, in Wrath of Lich King. So I'm going to assume that this is instant cast. So, big fan of Star Shards. Shadow Guards, casters, show me shadows. Attackers, yeah, who cares? Radiance. Bedside Manor is an AoE innervate? Yeah, that's good. That's super strong. What you can't do, but what would be really cool is if you could mix and match. If you could say, well, I want Star Shards and, because... Hold on a second. Because, like, each one has more than one. Like, dwarfs, like, Night Elves get Loon's Grace and they get Star Shards. It'd be cool if you could say, well, I want Star Shards and I want Bedside Manor. I don't think you can do that, though. I think you just get the ones from one race, right? You say, well, I want to use Night Elves, or I want to use Gnomes, which would be this one and this one. Or I want to use Dwarf, which is this one and this one. Human, this one, this one. Tauren, this one, this one. Human is What was the other human? Feedback. What the fuck is feedback? Medical practice, it says increases your spirit by 10% of your intellect for 20 seconds. So it's just like a mini buff. Yeah, it makes you regen your mana faster. Kind of like your spirit tap ability. Yeah, for sure. I mean, with medical practice and bedside manner, that's insane mana regen. That's insane mana regen. Yeah, you get both. Yeah, because Lynn's Grace and Star Shards, you get both of those. You get both of them. I would imagine. I don't know. I don't know about the 5% int. I would imagine you still get that as well. I mean, most of the stuff looks pretty similar. I think, like, when you look at the abilities, I haven't seen anything in the abilities that are. Disappearance Dark heals them for next time they take damage. When the heal occurs, permanently jumps to a party raid member. Jumps up to 5 times. I'm curious how some of these abilities vary, though. Like here it says Smite does 387 holy damage. Here it says it does a lot more. 2.5 second cast, 385 mana. $245 mana versus 385. So it looks. What's really interesting is, yeah, it is rank 10, but this is something that we talked about, right? This is one of the questions Yeah, but this is one of the questions Alex, this is one of the questions I asked in the Discord. This is the highest rank for Epoch. So it's interesting that, so this is the highest rank. But yeah, you're right. If we want to look at the exact, I guess we have to compare it versus rank 8. 384, 429. So it does a consistent damage and it's 240 something mana versus. So it costs less mana and it does a little bit less damage. You know what I mean? You know. No, I asked the question in Discord. This is what the highest rank is right now. Who know? I don't know. You know. No, this does less damage. This does less damage than the TBC rank 8. See? This does 384 to 429 holy damage, 280 mana. This one does just 387, and it's 245. What do you mean? What do you mean, Alex? Maybe books will be in Epoch. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know. Here's the new ability, the plus water. The only, like, so shadow. I mean, most of these changes are very minor. I wonder, like, what really went into changing. I mean, they're saying, okay, this smite uses a little bit less mana and does a little bit less damage. I think what they were saying about having a smite build is, since it uses like 40 something less mana or whatever, that you can smite more often, I guess. But I don't see the changes as being, you know, It's being that crazy. Like the changes in the Warlock to me were a lot more impactful. You know, like let's look at like another class. Let's look at Warrior. Starting at level 10, Warriors learn the ability of Victory Rush. This ability lets you deal a sizable chunk of damage to enemy and is only usable if you've killed an enemy in the past 20 seconds. This is actually, obviously Rush to Victories. Chain killing is never been easier with a bit of extra damage. Just remember to watch your health. Yeah, Rush to Victory is definitely strong. Yeah, Victory Rush is really strong. Do we have Bloodthirst? Yeah. Battle Shot, Demoralization Shout, Protection, Sunder, Devastate. Okay, and Blood Rage, Intervene. Okay. Do we have Anger Management? Yeah, okay. Empowering Sweeping Strikes. Nothing crazy. Spin to win. Instantly whirlwind up to 4 targets. 1 second. While under the effects of Blade Storm, you can move but cannot perform any of their abilities. But you cannot be feared. You do not feel pity, remorse, or fear. You cannot be stopped unless killed. Yeah. They haven't really. I haven't seen any like added like outside of that priest like holy water. I haven't really seen a lot of major changes, to be honest. Like a lot of the classes, I don't really see a lot of, you know. Yeah, but I don't see any like huge changes. Like how in Turtle WoW it was like, oh, you can get like Crusader Strike in vanilla, because which didn't exist in vanilla, right? Or I mean, actually, what did it was there, just wasn't turned on. But or you could get Holy Strike. You could get Holy Strike, Crusader Strike. I mean, 2 new abilities in vanilla, which was huge. I mean, it's a huge difference. Paladins went from being like so to being like overpowered. I haven't seen anything like that in Epoch at all. Most of the changes are really minor. To me, like I said, to me the exciting thing is, you know, the the changes to profession, the fact that professions are going to get more things. I don't know how many new abilities professions are going to get, but professions are interesting. The new class combos are interesting. Obviously, the racial knowledge is really a big change for PvP. Um, so I don't know. Divine Spirit is baseline instead of talented. Yeah, that's the same thing. Yeah, but isn't that the way TBC was? What's the highlight of the new race? Oh, and I think it's got to be the Undead Paladin. Oh, Lightwell is only limited to 1 click. That's a big nerf. If Lightwell can only be clicked once, that's a huge nerf. Hanson Shaman spell twisting. I think it's got to be the Undead Paladin as far as the new class race combo. Okay, but what is that different than the original? The thing is that different than the original TPC though? No, wait, how can you spam click it if you can only click it once? I don't understand. You said Lightwell is limited to 1 click. If you can only click it once, why would you spam click it? I don't get that. It just means one person can waste all the charges. It's 1 click per person. Okay, you should have said that. You said okay. Yeah, I forgot that you could click it more than once. Actually, honestly, it's been so long since I've used Lightwell. I forgot that individual people could click it more than once. That's why I was confused. Thanks, Bear. That's why I was confused. I'm sorry. That's my bad. Just because it's been so long since I've used Lightwell. Yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. That's actually a good change. That's a really good change. Yeah, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. It's been so long since I used Lightwell. I forgot how it worked. Yeah, they fixed it. That's actually a really good change. That's a good fix. I remember that though. I remember people putting that Lightwell down, and someone who's like almost dead just goes up and uses it all, and you're like, shit. And it'd be like a DPS or something while you've got like two other healers dying and some stupid rogue comes up and uses it. All right, well, guys, I do have to go because I feel like I'm getting a cold or something, and my throat's kind of going. Um, the bad news is this goes live on the 26th, I believe, at noon, and my wife wants me to go back to our old apartment on the 26th to grab stuff that we haven't moved to the house. So I'll try to talk her into doing that on Sunday. Well, honestly, I probably won't try to talk her into it. The thing is, it's probably going to be the server's probably going to be have a queue, maybe. I don't know. So I'll be playing on the 26th. It probably just won't be when the server goes live. I'll probably be playing like late in the day, like 10 p.m. or something, or 11 p.m. So I'm thinking that's what's going to happen. The other thing, though, is to keep in mind that the name reservation, I think, is just a few days away. Is it like 5 days away or something? Let's see. Project Epoch announcements. $7 days away. The 22nd. Yeah, the 22nd. It's actually still quite a ways away yet. Oh, you got to put the kids to bed. Yeah, no, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming by. Like I said, I like to stream this stuff because this epoch, there's so much stuff going on with changes. I don't know all this stuff. I'm excited to play Epoch. I think it looks fantastic. I think it looks like it's going to be super fun. Super excited for the PvP aspect of it, like Warsong Gulch and stuff. I think it's going to be great. So you guys are helping me learn the things that are coming for Epoch because I don't know all the stuff. So thank you for everybody for giving me, stuff that I don't know yet. I'm trying to figure it all out. Um, but yeah, 22nd, we can reserve our names. I'll try to get my favorite hunter name, which I'm not going to tell you guys what that is because then someone might steal it. I have a name I like to use on my hunter. And then for my paladin, no one's going to take my name for my paladin because it's always available, so that'll be easy to get. So I'm not worried about that. So reserving my names will probably be pretty easy. I think I am going to go. I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't sure. I assumed you'd be able to reserve. I'm not sure how many you can reserve. Is that what it is too? I'm gonna reserve two, so one for my paladin and one for my hunter. Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, so the hunter is going to be. So I don't know. I'm thinking like, what am I gonna do for the professions though? Like originally, I thought I was gonna do tailoring and originally I was gonna do tailoring and enchanting on my paladin. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool that they're doing that. Originally, I was going to do the tailoring and enchanting, but now I'm kind of leaning towards mining and alchemy, and then making my hunter do herbalism and I don't know. I guess I could go herbalism and enchanting. What do you think? The hunter could do herbalism, enchanting, and the paladin could go mining and alchemy. Or we could just, yeah. Let me look at the professions again real quick. What is skinning give us? Gives us crit, right? Yeah. As a skinner, increasing your damage against beasts and dragonkin. This bonus increases as far as you do. We've added recipes that utilize many of the rare hides that previously had little value, making farming more types of skins than Devil Sword a lucrative enterprise. That's good. And skinning remains an easy rush for beginners. Stop helping people. Okay. Skinning. So we got skinning, tailoring, embroidery work, and new. Okay. And of course, mining. You receive bonus usual stamina. And though still in its experimental phase, miners may encounter Arcanite lodes in the world. These special nodes need extra work to harvest, but they're worth the investment. Any creatures throughout the world can now be mined upon death. Okay, that's fine. This one. While new recipes are available for all of the workers, we particularly focus on new patterns for the dragon scale and elemental. I love dragon scale stuff. Like one of the things in that I always thought was really underutilized in Vanilla WoW was dragon scaling, because if you were a dragon scale leather worker, they're just you couldn't make hardly anything. There's like five, there's only like maybe like there's the black dragon scale, blue dragon scale breastplate, and then I think a few, maybe like some red dragon scale. There weren't that many pieces. Like talking like 10 pieces total. It wasn't a lot. So what we could do, and this would totally suck, but if we did do 3 characters and had one character be an herbalist and that's not going to work. You get temp and chance with leatherworking that stack on top of your normal brazier. They're temporary enchantments. That's interesting. Am I going to roll mage? I wasn't planning on it. No, I have no idea. Rip off. I don't have the much time. I don't have as much time to play WoW as I used to. So, with my wife having all her, sick physical problems, she's very sick. So, I don't have as much time to do stuff. So, I need to check my phone and make sure she wasn't trying to reach me. Didn't get any texts. I think she's probably asleep now. Well, I mean, I plan on just playing Project Epoch, so I'm not going to be playing anything else. So I don't, and I'm not playing. I'm not going for speed leveling or anything like that. So I'm not really concerned about any of that. I am. It is tough to pick the professions, though. Now, natural talent. Herbalists will find their experience harvesting magical plants pays off and increase their resistance to all schools of magic. That's actually pretty useful too. Having a resistance to all schools of magic, that's actually pretty useful for PvP. Like later versions of WoW, herbalists on Epoch will sometimes find black lotus bundled with other high-level herbs. That's actually really useful. And then many creatures throughout the world can now be herbs. So, okay, so what we could do on the paladin is make the paladin an herbalist and a miner. That way we get the increased resistance to all schools of magic and we get the 5% increased stamina. Right? And then paladin would just get the regular effects. But is that better to have that? Or is it better to have the mining and the alchemy? But it might be worth just doing herbalism and mining on the paladin. And then on the hunter, I'll do leatherworking and skinning. And then we'll just have to buy potions. I don't know. I don't know. We don't really know. Like, engineering historically had the top spot as the most valuable profession. In order to balance desirability between professions, it does not boast a statistic bonus for its practitioners. So that, which is good, I think. While engineering doesn't offer a stat bonus, it still boasts all the tools and toys. So, okay, so it still has all the stuff it regularly has. So enchanting has the ring enchants, the shard transmutes. Don't let your materials go to waste. All small shards can be transformed into large shards, and enchanters can craft staves, which is interesting. New recipes for staves, wands, offhands, and of course enchants can be found throughout the world. The thing that sucks. Well, here the thing that sucks is these professions and the way they're reworking a lot of professions. It makes you want to have everyone. The thing is, you want to have all of them. It's like I want to have like four alts, just so I can have like a blacksmith, and it's in a leather worker, and an alchemist. You know, and an engineer or whatever. An enchanter. The professions I always seem to value, the ones that I like the most are alchemy, enchanting, and leatherworking. Engineering and blacksmithing are the ones that I typically do the least, just simply because they're the most time consuming. They're the most time consuming to level, and they can just be kind of annoying. As a money maker, if you're looking to make money, I think alchemy is always a really good way to go. Potions are always going to be in demand. Blacksmithing, you have the belt buckles. Repair all. But my thought process for the paladin, Lexus can make a 13 stamina, 8 neck piece. Yeah, that's cool. But my thought process for the paladin is I'm either going to go alchemy mining, or herbalism mining. If I go alchemy mining, we're going to get that 25%. I mean, alchemy mining should be better, because if herbalism gives us a bonus to resistances, aren't there potions that we can drink that give us magic resistance? We have magic resistance potions. So, and if we get the 20% increased effect, plus we could use that potion along with other potions, then alchemy should easily be better to have than just the herbalism. But anyways, thanks for stopping by, guys. I am going to cut the stream off. I'm getting tired. I will catch you guys next time. It's not till we've still got 10 more days till the server comes out, and we'll get to like play around with all this stuff and see what works, what doesn't work. So yeah, have a good night, Jen. Appreciate the feedback. QDF, I'm not going to be rolling a mage. I'm going to be rolling probably a protection paladin, and a survival hunter. Yep, I will catch you guys later.